Dear friends, please be ready. We start in 10 minutes.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to day one of competition at the Junior World Championships being staged here in Nassau, Bahamas. We've got 4 weight categories to bring you. We're going to take a look at the top 4 seeds and then Gene Shin is going to jump in with one of his picks. A very good morning to you, Gene.
Good morning, Sheldon.
Junior World Championships, you've done one of these before? Have you seen the juniors?
I have seen some of the juniors. I was at Chile and last year at the World Cadet Championships.
Oh, the cadets, yeah.
So
and at Kiev as well.
I was at Kiev.
Yeah.
No, but that was many years ago. Many years ago. It's almost prehistory now.
Well, but it's perfectly possible that some of those that you saw in Kiev are now still juniors, and they be here. They could be. That would be an interesting to look up. Yeah. Did I see someone in Kiev at the Cadet World Championships? That was the first time that we'd ever staged the Cadet World. No, we did. We had one in Budapest. The first was in Budapest in 2009.
I think Ann Suzuki might have been there.
Yeah, she could have done. Right, okay, so let's start by taking a look at the top 4 seeds in each weight category. We've got 2 men and 2 women. And then, as I said, Gene will pick out a male player for the day to watch and a female player. I hope you've got all your notes ready.
I do have some notes.
Right, let's take a look at the under 55 kilo category. First 26 judoka in that weight category. And the number 1 seed is Dilshad Kalmatov of Ukraine. The number 2 seed is Damir Bolatbekov of Kazakhstan. The number 3 seed is Rovshan Aliyev of Azerbaijan. And the number 4 seed is James Zara of Australia. That's the under 55 kilo category. In the under 60 kilo category, the number 1 seed is from Azerbaijan. It's Karamat Husseinov. The number 2 seed is Ivan Salas of Venezuela. The number 3 seed is Mourin Medri of Tunisia. And we've lost the number 4 seed. The number 4 seed, Tofik Mamedov, the junior European champion from earlier this year. He failed to make the weight. So there is no number 4 seed, which will please the people in that weight category no end. Right, the under 44 kilo category, the number 1 seed is Lois Petit of Belgium. The number 2 seed is Beringer Fatima of Hungary. The number 3 seed is Ouamima Bedoui of Tunisia. And the number 4 seed is Erika Lasso of Colombia. One more weight category to look at. The number 1 seed in the under 48 kilo category is Laura Martinez Abelenda of Spain. The number 2 seed is Galia Tinbayeva of Kazakhstan. The number 3 seed is Ekaterina Dolgik of Russia. And then the number 4 seed is Andrea Stoyadinov of Serbia. Right, those are the top 4 seeds in each of the 4 weight categories that we've got to look at. Who is your, let's start with, well, male or female? Who do you want to go with? Who's your male pick of the day, or who's your female pick of the day?
Well, let's start with a male pick of the day.
Okay.
I think that one thing that as I was going through and considering for today, it's I was thinking about who's really got that star quality, because even though this is the Junior World Championships, most of these athletes are, of course, hoping to progress to the senior level, and in fact, some of them have, and are really shooting for, the Senior World Championships and the Olympics down the road. So who are the ones that are really ready to play at the next level? And some things that I was considering was maturity of play. How well have they been able to really start not just doing conventional throws, but really starting to blend techniques and really play improvisationally according to their opponents. And at the 60 kilogram weight class, I don't think that anybody does that better there right now than Koga Genki from Japan. He's 25-1. and 11 of those are by Ippon. He placed third in 2017 at the Junior World Championships, and he also has taken first at the Junior European Cup in 2016 and at the Junior Asian Cup. He was first at the World Cadet Championships in 2015. But the thing that I was really impressed with is that he's tremendously versatile and assertive, both on his feet and on the ground. Like all Japanese players, he doesn't stop. When he throws you, he immediately transitions into the next thing, and he's constantly looking for the ippon. But he also has this quality of being tremendously dangerous. As soon as you step on the mat with him, you know that you've got to bring your A game, because if you don't, he is going to come after you and take that match away from you. So he's somebody that you've just got to play at your absolute best level. And he does this no matter who he's playing. So I think Koga Genki at 60 kilos is the one to watch today in the men's.
Okay, I've written that down just in case you at home should forget. And if Koga Genki does, do something, then no doubt Gene will be here at the end of today saying, "I told you so." and if he doesn't, I'll be here to say, "Hey, man, what happened to your pick?" Okay, but we shall see. And everything that Gene has said there suggests to me that he has had, a good look at Koga, knows about the player, and perhaps that's someone that you at home may want to follow. And we'll let you know whenever it is that Koga is either on the mat or coming up, and maybe we will do our best to follow Koga Genki. That's in the under 60 kilo category. He's in Pool B of the under 60 kilo category. He's unseeded, and the nice thing for him, as I was saying, was when Tofik Mamadov, the number 4 seed, dropped out. Really, I mean that is now his quarter, possibly even his half. He's only got to worry about Karamet Husseinov, the number 1 seed, possibly in the semi-final.
That's right.
Right, we've got a couple of minutes to go. Let's take a look at the female player of the day that you've picked out.
Well, this is easy. As we were discussing last night over dinner, what we've got today is at under 48 kilos, Daria Biladid.
You went out to dinner with Daria Biladid last night?
No, you and I.
Okay.
So that would have been a fun dinner, though. That would have been amazing. But I'm sure she was in her room getting ready for the competition.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So Daria Biladid from the Ukraine, of course, has just been the absolute star in the judo firmament this past year. She just took first at the Senior World Championships last month. She's 88-4. She's had 4 defeats in her entire
her life.
career, and she's won everything in the last year, including 7 major senior contests. But the thing about her is that she absolutely has this star quality that I was talking about, and it has to begin with just her incredible dominant reach and height in her weight class. She's incredibly tall for her weight class, and she's able to take full advantage of the reach that she has. She has this very explosive uchimata and an ouchigari that just nobody has been able to stop. And then she also has an immediate transition into a very dangerous sankaku, which she's used to great effect several times throughout her contest in the past year. So she's definitely the one to watch.
A couple of points to pick up there from what Gene has said, and for those of you who don't know the background to Daria Biladid, we'll just reassert the fact that nobody has been able to get off her techniques, not even the former world champion, the Japanese Tonaki Funo, has gone over not once, not twice, but 3 times. She's been defeated by Daria Biladid, and she was thrown for Ippon in the final of the World Championships. So, if there are any questions to ask, I think it's going to be of the other fighters in the weight category. Can they come up with something? As opposed to what can Daria Biladid do? Because we've seen what Daria Biladid can do.
Right.
Now, Koga Genki is on mat number 1. Daria Biladid is on mat number 3. They are the 3rd fight in. We're going to start by taking a look at the opening contest on mat number 1. And the first contest is Jabba Papianashvili of Georgia. He's up against Anthony Brett of the United States of America. It will be Papianashvili in the white judogi, Brett in blue. Sit back and enjoy the action.
So, of course, Jaba Papinashvili he's the first seed. He was the world champion in 2017, but at the 55 kilo weight class. So Anthony Brett really has his work cut out for him. But, if you're going to face the world champion, you come to these contests in order to play, the best possible people that you can fight. And so even though it's the very first match and really tough draw for Anthony Brett, here's your chance to really show what you've got.
So is that because he came up from the lower weight category, the 55, that's presumably why he's not seeded number 1 here in the new weight category, and why...
Yes, because he wasn't...
Okay, so that explains that. He's a former world champion, but at the weight below, and that's why he's not seeded there. Okay.
And Anthony Brett is in this match. Papinashvili definitely has had more of the attack so far, but Brett is giving him a good match. Of course, at this age, people are just a lot of these athletes are just still in their growing process. Staying down at 55 kilos, which is 110 pounds, that's really tough. So coming up to 60 kilos is quite natural.
Yeah, I remember that weight category myself. 55 kilos. I'd started at 50. I suppose I'd even fought at 45 once in a while. Yeah, 45, 50, 55, and then eventually 60.
55 kilos. It's been quite a while since I saw that weight class.
127, I think. 127 pounds is 60 kilos, isn't it? If 110 is 55, it must be 127 to 60. I never went beyond that, although I think that I'm a little bit beyond that now.
Oh, and
at last.
Yes. You're seeing a little bit of action here. Still no score. Anthony Brett has 2 Shidos with just under 2.5 minutes in the contest to go. And he's doing a good job of trying to come in and make sure that he's keeping a pretty aggressive match going. Neither player has a score on the board. Oh, Papinashvili in for the Jijigatame. And that looks really, really deep. It'll be amazing if Brett's able to get this out. And they're rolling through it. Papinashvili keeping control, trying to maintain control. But, and Anthony Brett able to really, really keep that Jijigatame from getting completely set. Good job. 145 left in the contest. And Papinashvili coming in for Seonage.
So the thing is, easy. One hand here, okay. The other hand on the zoom here. Okay. Follow. Yeah, for zooming. Be comfortable, okay?
Might pick up that last Shido here.
Exactly, yeah.
Might have been stepping off the mat.
But it should be about 80% of the screen. I would say we do it big.
Yep. So, Anthony Brett picks up that third Shido. Stepping off the mat. Draws the Hansapamake. This disqualifying series of penalties.
It's a really unfortunate outing for the young American. He had another minute 20 odd seconds to be out there. It could be, look, it happens at every level. At some stage you're going to get somebody who picks up 1, 2 and then a third penalty. You hope, you like to think that you wouldn't do that. That you would know after the first warning, I've got to be careful. You'd know after the second one, hey, I'm on a knife edge here. And then the third one comes. Sometimes there's very little you can do about it. I mean, it just happens.
It just happens.
Right, Alexander Dahlin of Sweden faces Joel Demer of Canada. It's Dahlin in the white judogi, Demer in blue. we are one fight away from seeing Koga Genki. He's coming up next. And mercifully, we've got Dario Biladid still 3 fights down, so that might take a little bit of time.
Hopefully we'll get to see both.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the timings will work out.
But of course, you're free to switch to any mat that you want to watch.
Yes,
if there's a
Gene,
particular
well done.
player that you'd like to watch throughout the contest, or a particular country that you're following, you can just switch to either mat 1, 2, or 3. So Demare doing what he can to really try and get control of this grip, but Dahlen from Sweden is doing a good job of making sure that Demare's really got his back to the edge of the mat, so it's really limiting what Demare is able to do.
The next contest of the 3. First round for women.
So if Demare could just circle more towards the center, but that's opening up an attack on Dahlen's part. Dahlen's doing a really good job of playing the edge of the mat, not pushing Demare off, but really, really limiting Demare's ability to move effectively. And as soon as then Demare circles to his left, then that gives Dahlen a chance to come in with an Uchimata, which he's tried a couple of times. Right there, as coming in, as Demare shuffles to his right. That gave Dahlen a little bit of an opportunity to come in for a big Harai Goshi, sweeping hip throw. He wasn't quite able to pull it off. Both got pretty... One thing that they both have is they have pretty bent postures, which is good for defense, but it makes attacking difficult.
Yes, we suffered from that from the late 90s and into the early 2000s, and the International Judo Federation were keen to try to rid themselves of that bent over posture. I remember being told about that as a young fighter, to avoid getting involved in the jigotai position, and we don't see it as much now. We really don't see it as much. Certain rule changes, I believe, have resulted in a more upright stance.
I agree.
But from time to time, you get a few players that will fall into that trap and end up bent over.
Yeah.
And it's not a term that we use a great deal now, is it? Jigotai.
Not as often, which is a good thing. Of course, we want the judo play to be as assertive and positive as possible, and that's just not what happens when you get overly defensive. Oh, coming in, Demare is getting looks like he's going for the Jujigatame, this cross-body arm lock. There are a lot of Japanese terms that try and explain as we go along here, Jujigatame being one of them. It's one of the most popular arm locks in judo. It literally means cross body. Of course, they rarely use the full term, Ude Hishigi Jujigatame, because that's just a mouthful. Demare in for Tomonage, but Dahlen stepping out of it just enough. So another term is Kuzushi, breaking the balance. And something Demare, and so something that you see a lot is you'll see a lot of people coming in with big, deep attacks, like that one. Another one by Joel Demare coming in for a Sewanage, it looks like. Oh, but Dahlen able to step out of it, and now coming in for a choke, but you could see Demare pointing to his chin and saying, look, he's got it across my chin. So getting back to Kuzushi, Demare had this big, it looked like a Sewanage, it could have been Sore Tsure Kamegoshi, but coming in very, very deep, but not really breaking the balance. So that allows the opponent to step out or to mitigate the throw. And oh, but there we go with a really nice Taiotoshi by Demare. Getting the Wazari just at the bell. Wow. And Dahlen clearly going, oh, right at the bell. Really nice finish by Joel Demare from Canada. over Alexander Dahlen from Sweden. Which clears the way for our next match, which will be Brian Garbao from Ecuador versus Koga Genki from Japan. So we'll see if what I saw in some of Koga's earlier matches from the previous year will play out. Do we know if he's any relation to the Koga?
I think it's his son, isn't it? There are two of them. This Koga and Saito,
Okay.
who's going to be in the plus 100 kilo category.
Well, there's a legacy to live up to.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting his. Well, it was a difficult meeting, unfortunate, but the pleasure of meeting his widow at the IJF Gala when they inducted him posthumously into the IJF Hall of Fame. That's Saito Senior. Anyway, Saito Tatsuru will compete on Saturday in the plus 100 kilo category. Right, so coming on to mat number 1 now. We should have Brian Garboa of Ecuador. Should be up against Koga Genki. Not sure why it's taking a little bit longer to roll the scoreboard around, but once that's done, then we'll be able to get underway. All of these are round 1 contests. Early days yet.
Very early days. In the beginning of a week of what we hope will be terrific judo at the Junior World Championships here in Nassau, Bahamas, at the beautiful Atlantis Hotel.
Yes, don't be misled by Gene Shin. It's not a holiday for us. We're inside. All the holiday makers are outside on the beach and sunning themselves. We don't see any of that.
We're sitting inside with suits on.
Yeah, shirt and tie, suited up. We can see 4 walls, and that's about it. However, we are mat side watching the judo. That can't be bad, can it?
Okay, it looks like they're getting set up. Taking their time on mat 3. Lisa Deng and Vile Demet Mori still playing at the under 48 kilos.
The winner of the Olympic 3 in white category for Kazakhstan, Akmal Montmek.
I thought I could hear an echo, and I was wondering why it was that I could hear my voice, and then I realised I've got my laptop open.
Oh.
and it's got the stream going. So I'm sorry if that has disturbed you at home. I know it's bad enough hearing me once, far less twice. So I apologise for that. And there's always someone at home who's really clever, a tech guy or tech girl, who knows about these things, and then will write some, some witty email pointing out the error. So sorry about that. So they're gonna have to take a pause whilst they tidy up a couple of technical issues. I'm sure it won't take that long, and then we'll be back underway. I know you're looking forward to seeing Koga Genki because we spoke about him, first thing this morning. Mark Pickering, the International Judo Federation media director, is also kind of keen on Koga and thinks that he, has got a lot to offer, and it won't be that long before he's on.
So you mentioned Saito earlier. I'm very excited to see his son play. I actually was at the 1985 World Championships when he played Choyoung Chol in the finals in Seoul. So that was a tremendously exciting match to watch.
You were at the
1985 World
Oh,
Championships.
okay, yeah. Okay, well done. Well, the odd thing is that the contests have worked out not in our favour. We've ended up with Koga Genki down on mat number 1 and Dario Biladid waiting to come on mat number 3. They're both standing at their respective tatami, waiting to come on, and we can only choose one. You, of course, you may be able to open another browser, and in
watch
your
both of them.
and watch both of them. That's entirely up to you. But we're just letting you know that down on mat number 1, it's Koga Genki of Japan up against Brian Garboa of Ecuador, and down on mat number 2, it's Daniela Restrepo of Colombia to face Dario Biladid of Ukraine.
Mat 3.
Mat
Mat
3.
three.
Sorry. Yeah, mat 3.
And all 3 mats are paused at the moment, so there's no rush to get over there. There seems to be
Yeah, we've got
technical issues.
I'm sure that if our head of IT, Matthias Fischer, is down there, it won't be that long before he sorts it out. I've never seen a problem that he cannot sort out, apart from power. If the electricity fails, there's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do.
However, I think that this must be some kind of cabling issue. So sorry about that. Most unusual. Lance Wicks is coming past. He knows all about these things, and he's here to tell us that. And there it is.
A technical problem with the scoreboard
Yeah,
system.
and it's
Resolved
done
as
now.
we speak.
Sorted. The current world champion down on mat number 3, the red back patch. No, we're okay. We're gonna watch Koga.
On mat 1.
They won't be able to stop him, mate. Yeah, they're all look as though they're underway. They're just checking to make sure.
Well, we still have Dahlin and Demar's name up on mat 1 on the scoreboard.
Yeah. And we did say that we were going to watch Koga, and despite the fact that it's the world champion down on mat number 3, I suspect that we're gonna see a lot more of her.
Yes.
That is also the wrong one.
That would be an enormous upset for her not to
Yeah.
get past this first match.
Right, so they're ready down on mat number 3, and they're underway. So what we'll do is, whilst we are waiting for Koga Genki and Brian Garboa to come, to get underway, that's what we're going to stick with. We'll just tell you that there is no score down on mat number 3. They've got, I should tell you what's happening down on mat number 3. They've got a bunch of school children, and it must have been about 10 to about 40 of them, who quite clearly have never seen any judo before. And in front of them, right in front of them, at mat number 3, is the current world champion Dario Biladid. She just had a little stab at Ojigari and put her opponent on her backside, and there was a big ooh from that whole group. So they're into it. Right, we're underway with the round 1 contest on mat number 1. Brian Garboa of Ecuador in the white judogi, Koga Genki in blue. Here is Jin Shin.
And Koga Genki starts off with right away with a very nice with a big with a nice haraigoshi, but Brian Garboa responds with a really big throw himself. Looks like Koga took kind of a bad fall on his left arm there. He's trying to straighten it, loosen it up a little bit. But there's a video review going on to see what kind of score there should be there, if it's a wazari or is it a complete ippon, which would be a big upset.
It could be that Garboa threw against the elbow.
That could be too. It was difficult to see.
Could end up with Hanso Kamake here.
Yes, because it's illegal, of course. Yes, There we go. So, it's illegal to throw with an arm lock, and because it's quite dangerous. And so Koga Genki takes the first match, not the way he would have liked to have taken it, of course, but he comes through and on to the next match.
And down on mat number 3, Daria Biladid of the Ukraine, the current world champ, senior world champion, has just won her first contest down there with Sangaku Gatami. Not unusual for Biladid. There you go.
That's a very typical pattern for her. She'll come in with either her uchimata or her ouchigari, and then immediately transition to the sankaku, taking advantage of this tremendous length of leg that she has. It's just enormous reach that she has.
So both of Gene's picks for today, one male, one female, he picked out this morning. Koga Genki has gone through to round 2, as has Daria Biladid. Now, on map number 1, Miraç Akuş of Turkey faces Biagio D'Angelo of Italy. It's Akuş in the white judogi, D'Angelo in blue.
So here you have an example of that jigotai that we were talking about earlier. D'Angelo really holding out this big defensive posture. And so when Akuş came in just now with that low, what I've been calling a kategoruma variant, there was just no way that he was going to be able to finish that. So even though D'Angelo is able to stop it, Akuş has got to, if Akuş is able to continue to come in and attack consistently, he'll draw penalties. Oh! Ippon with the Jujigatame. D'Angelo came in with a deep sewanage, and Akuş really rode it out. And because D'Angelo never broke Akush's balance, he was able to come in and get that armbar and finish it up very effectively.
The winner of category 1 in white judogi for Turkey, Miraç Akuş.
Okay. So I think I'd like to go to mat 3, where we have our first, we got a 48 kilo match.
Category 1, next contest, man under 60
We haven't seen one of these yet, so I thought we'd take a look. This is La Puerta Comas from Spain versus Sofia Petito from Italy. Still in our first round matches. The match that I'd like to see coming up next is from will be El Maruki from the US versus Enkam Galan from Mongolia. Sofia Petito coming in for Temiwaza, a sacrifice technique. La Puerta Comas, short stopping it, keeping it from any kind of score at all. And coming in now, coming all the way around to the head, try to get a turn going. Looks like she's initially setting up this kata tejime, this single hand choke that has become very popular at this level of competition at the World Seniors as well. We saw quite a few of those single-handed chokes. They're very, once you get that in deep and you get that anchor on the opposite side, they're really hard to stop. La Puerta Comas clearly very comfortable in her groundwork. Again, coming in for a turn. Saw that kind of turn also. That's a turn that's become pretty popular. We saw the Japanese do that quite a few times at the Senior Worlds. But Petito has been doing a good job of stopping La Puerta Comas's newaza attacks, or groundwork attacks. Ooh. Petito in for Kochigari. Small inner cut. But Spain stepping out of it. And again, trying to come in with this choking technique. She's just not able to get it under the chin and really get it set. So Petito has already drawn one Shido. Actually, 2 Shidos. So she's not careful. As Sheldon was calling earlier, she's going to draw a third one in for that Kateguruma variation. But no Kazushi, really not enough energy in that. In order for that kind of technique to work, you've really got to drive into it. And she just didn't have that kind of force. And it just gives Puerto Comas another chance to work on this newaza that she really likes. Referee indicating fix your gi. It's always kind of an ominous sign when you're told to fix your gi in the middle of the contest. It usually means that there's a penalty coming up. She already has 2 Shidos, 2 penalties. She draws the third one, and it'll be the end of the contest. It'll be what's called Hansakomake, but no Shido. So, but in any case, Petito is really in a tough spot. She's got to score. She's got 2 Shidos. And again, Puerto Comas in for that Shinewaza. She really wants to get that joke. Okay, we're now into golden score because there was no positive score on the board. So that's something that was a rule change a couple years ago. Penalties can no longer determine the winner in regulation time. So even though Petito is down by 2 Shidos to 1 Shido by Puerto Comas, that was not enough to finish the contest. So unless Petito really pulls something out of the hat here, I think this is going to be Puerto Comas' match. Just because Puerto Comas has just had more things going on. Comas being directed to tie her hair back up out of the way. Okay, after a little breather, you can see that Puerto Comas is really coming in with a lot of energy. Oh, Petito in with a big tomonage, but Puerto Comas turning out of it, so there's no score. Nice elevation there, but something that was missing there was just not enough Kazushi. She's coming down for these low sacrifice kinds of attacks, these Sutemi Waza, but just doesn't have the kind of real pull and energy that's required to really complete the match. Okay, referee again indicating fix your gi. And if there's a penalty here, I didn't see what it could be, so let's see what happens. Jigotai, excessive defensiveness. Excessive defensive play. And Petito draws the third penalty, even though she just attacked. So I'm not sure what that... Why she would draw that penalty right at that particular time. Okay, up next, we have at the under 48 kilogram weight class on mat 3. We have El Maruki from the U.S. versus Amgalan from Mongolia.
On mat 2, in blue for France, Monty Paul.
This is,
The next contest.
hope I can be forgiven a little bit of support for my fellow players from the United States. Elmaruki in white, and Gamgalan in blue. Both players coming out. Really good, aggressive grip game. Oh, Elmaruki reaching over, but Gamgalan really coming around underneath, threatening a big lift. Elmaruki did a good job there of dropping down, keeping Gamgalan from finishing what could have been a big uranage, a big sort of backwards lifting hip throw. Gamgalan has got a bit better grip right now. She's got control of both sleeves, it looks like to me. Both players really keeping it down, right? And Elmaruki being penalized for holding down her hands in this really defensive way. There's really not a lot she could do, though, otherwise, because if she had allowed Gamgalan to bring her hands up, that would have allowed the Mongolian player to really get some momentum going and get a really effective attack. So Elmaruki was in a tough spot. And Gamgalan is continuing to come in with this very aggressive entry, coming in, trying to reach around. And she's got Elmaruki playing a much more reactive game at the moment. Elmaruki coming in for a throw, but Gamgalan nearly turning it around, nearly countering it. But Elmaruki did a good job of turning out there and keeping it from being a score.
First off, for women 48 kilos.
So if you haven't watched judo much this past year, one thing that was a rule change is that wazaris, which last year were not cumulative, have come back to now. If you score 2 wazaris, that will end the match. So wazari awasete ippon has come back. And Gamgalan in for that lift, scoring the first wazari. So with 2 minutes left in the match, Mongolia leads by a wazari, and the USA also has a shido and 1 penalty on the board. So this puts considerable pressure now on the American player. She's not only playing from a deficit of a point, but she's also in danger of collecting enough penalties to disqualify her from the match. So she's got to find a way past Gamgalan's really aggressive and effective grip game. And there you can see Gamgalan's really got a strong right hand. She's got the sleeve on the left, the collar on the right, and Elmaruki in for trying to do some kind of a makikomi, but Gamgalan really doing a good job of turning through it, keeping it from being a score. Elmaruki keeping up the pressure, really coming across the mat. And Gamgalan now playing a much more conservative game. She's still maintaining a strong, really kind of impenetrable posture and grip game, but not really trying to come in as aggressively as she was before. Elmaruki in for Soretsuri Kamigoshi, but she's much too far out. And Gamgalan now coming in with this kata tejime, this single-handed choke that I was talking about before, has become so common. It's quite frequently tried, because as you can see, if you get that anchor on the far side, it's and that choke is in danger of going out. I've seen several of those in the past month or so. Elmaruki really trying to come in, knowing that time is running out. She's down by a wazari, really trying to come in and get that attack going, but that attack just wasn't convincing enough, and so she's down a second shido. But at this point, she really doesn't have anything to lose. She's got to come in, really see if she can get Gamgalan moving, but Gambalan's just got, oh, and biggest, deepest attack so far by El Maruki. Almost at the very, very end. But, and Gambalan able to ride it out and complete the match with Awazari over El Maruki from the U.S. Okay. So, that is the end of the first round at the under 48 kilos.
Under 55 kilograms. Including representing Kyrgyzstan.
So let's take a look at our first 55 kilo match. We'll stay on mat 3. This will be Rechberger from Austria versus Aybek Ulu from Kyrgyzstan. Rechberger in white, Aybek Ulu in blue. Rechberger in for Tomonage, but Aybek Ulu is tremendously powerful and just was not moving at all. And Aybek Ulu really taking advantage of the situation to try and do a turn. But Rechberger really jumping out of that nicely and then coming in for his own attempt at the same turn. And it looks to me like Aybek Ulu has just got a tremendous amount of power. And Rechberger's having a tough time really getting a lot of momentum going. So here we've got that deep jigotai that we saw earlier. Now they, of course, as soon as I say that, they stand up. Rechberger in. Oh! Very nice Sewa Nage by Aybek Ulu. Big elevation. But Rechberger really turning out of it and landing in such a way that not even a Wazari. Definitely the biggest throw that we've seen so far today. But because Rechberger was able to turn out and land completely on his front, there was no score at all given. Still, that sets up something, that's a big positive. As soon as something like that happens, that's setting up a nice momentum for one player. It's difficult to overcome on the other side, unless you just happen to be one of these players who takes that kind of thing as a huge challenge and a spur to action. But Aybek Ulu in again for another Sewanage, this time a dropping Sewanage. Rechberger sprawling out to the side, not even being converted over. Just about 2 minutes left in the contest. And Rechberger in for his first big attack that we've seen so far. Also a Sewanage, but not, well, he did have that Tomonage really early on in the contest, so second big throw that we've seen from him. But again, he's not really able to get Aybek Ulu moving. Even though Rechberger clearly has a bit of an advantage in height, I'd say that Aybek Ulu has an advantage in its strength here. He's just bringing a level of power that Rechberger is really struggling to find a way to mitigate. Both players, I think, showing a bit of fatigue at this point in the match, just moving a little slower than they were earlier on. Rechberger in for the Sankaku. He's got it locked up. Now if he could just convert it, he's got that lock up on the upper quadrant. But again, Aybek Ulu is just so strong, even though Rechberger had that completely locked. Aybek Ulu just wasn't able to get, Aybek Ulu just was not turning with that at all. So even though he had a complete locked, I'm not sure how much pressure he was actually exerting. You can really wrench and squeeze people with that Sankaku, and Oh, there was a, bet you this will be a penalty for a false attack. A Shido. Yep, Reckberger came down, but there was no real throw attempt there. So he got penalized with his first Shido for a false attack with 42 seconds left in the match. Here in this first round 55 kilo match. 25 seconds to go. Aibek Ulu now down, but not able to get Reckberger really moving. Both players have really slowed down considerably at this point. So I think we'll see that somebody's going to make a mistake. The other one will just get caught. Oh, nice little exchange in Ashiwaza there. Reckberger reaching in and Aibek Ulu doing a similar... Oh, there we go. Right at the end. Oh, Aibek Ulu coming in for this spinning Tachiwaza, spinning throwing technique. And just catching Reckberger for the Wazari right at the bell.
The winner in blue for Kyrgyzstan.
So, still having some technical difficulties. Not sure who's... We've got a scoreboard that lets us know who's coming up, but it's not updating. So let's go to mat 1, where we have Papinashvili and from Georgia, who was the world champion at 50 kilos last year and is now at 55 kilos. I'm sorry, it's... Let's see, just make sure I get this right. He was at 55 kilos last year and is now at 60 kilos this year. So he was the world champion at 55 kilos. So he's definitely somebody to watch this morning. He is now up against Argentina. Carlos Maldonado. Okay, a minute gone in the contest. No score, no penalties. You can see, so one thing that's terrific to watch at these competitions is when you see different people from different countries playing, and you begin to see that countries have their styles of play, even though many of these players get to train, at different places all around the world. Of course, it's a great benefit if you have to do it, if you have the backing to go and train in another country. Countries tend to retain their own flavor and style of play, and this is something you see in Georgian play. Maldonado in for a deep Sewanage, and for the Ippon. So, Papinashvili. Oh, waved off. So, Papinashvili dodging a bit of a bullet there. Still getting grazed with the Wazari. Maldonado in for that deep. It looked like Sewanage, but it could have been Sore Tsurikumigoshi coming in. Oh, and Georgia responding with his own Uchimata and getting a Wazari. So now the score is even. So this match really heated up in the second minute. Now down to third minute of play. Maldonado clearly very energetic, doing a lot of circling there. So as I was saying, you could see that the Georgian player, Papinashvili, has this very bent posture, but it's not defensive. It's not a Jigotai posture. It's much more of a wrestling kind of posture. Maldonado picking up a second Shido. So Maldonado's really in a tough spot now. Even though the score is even, and he has an advantage there, if he makes one more mistake, he's going to be out of the match. So coming down for the very brief Sewanage, popping back up again. Not able to get the penetration that he likes. Again for another one. But Georgian play, with that wrestling kind of stance is very difficult to get moving. It's a very, very stable, very difficult stance to dislodge, to disrupt. I think Carlos Maldonado, though, has got to be careful if he comes in for those kinds of low Sewanages without really affecting Papinashvili's balance. He's going to be called for a false attack. There he came in. He switched it up a little bit with a tomonage, a sacrifice kind of technique. Tomonage meaning circle throw. But didn't get any elevation on Papinashvili at all.
First round for men under 55 kilos. Incredibly for Venezuela.
I think between the two, even though Maldonado caught him early on with that throw, Papinashvili he's definitely the player to beat at the moment. Of course, he hasn't launched many of his own attacks, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't get hit with a Shido himself sometime in the next few seconds. Taking a very aggressive over-the-shoulder grip, really working these low leg attacks. This Kouchigari. Maldonado going down into a Newaza. Papinashvili with this. Okay, time is out. With the score of was it 1 Wazarda each? We're now in golden score. Sudden death. First score will win the match. Or if Maldonado draws a third Shido, that will be a Hansakumake.
Golden score 9-3.
Maldonado down again. This low dropping throw. And because it was not enough to really affect, it was judged as a false attack. That is his third Shido. 15 seconds into golden score. So it's not enough to just look like you're attacking. Your attacks have to be sincere and serious. They have to be things which demonstrate real intent to throw, not just to look like you're trying to throw. So Maldonado, after a really strong beginning, was not able to complete his attack strategy. Papinashvili will come away with the ippon for this. And move on to the next round.
It's second round for junior men under 60 kilos. Incredibly for Canada.
Okay, up now we have Abdullayev from Russia versus Demer from Canada. Demer, who we watched in the first round. Versus Dahlin from Sweden. We'll see how he does against Russia. So, Russian player doing a very tactical play, really driving Demer over to the edge and really forcing him to step out, which draws a penalty if you step out of the competition area to avoid play. Of course, there's also, Demer down for a deep, deep Kouchigari. But Abdullayev, just keeping his feet. That was really remarkable how deep Demer was. Had his thigh all the way around behind Abdullayev's heel. But just did not move Abdullayev at all. again, here we see it again. And we saw that earlier too. Demer really allows himself to be pulled along to the edge of the mat, which really kept his movement limited when he was playing Dahlin from Sweden earlier. He was able to pull it out then, though, come away with the victory, but I think the Russian has a different prospect. So, Demer circling, trying to, I think, stay in the middle, but there he goes again, coming off to the edge. Oh! Abdullayev in with a big Uchimata. And Demer just sidestepping it, but had an opportunity there to do what's called an Uchimata Sukash, an Uchimata counter to this big inner thigh throw, but wasn't able to capitalize on it. That was a big, big launch on Abdullayev's part. See there, he's doing it again. He's playing to the side. Demer is trying to come in with an attack of his own, coming in for Tomonage, but Abdullayev immediately getting in a position to threaten this Jujigatame, this crossbody arm lock. But Demer bringing his legs over so that Abdullayev can't get that second leg over and finish up the pressure. If Abdullayev had been able to get his right leg across Demer's abdomen, Demer would have been in a lot of trouble there. So Demer has this strategy of circling his opponent and coming around to the side, but here he's going to draw another penalty for stepping off. But what that does is it allows Abdullayev to occupy the center of the mat, and instead of putting pressure on Abdullayev, Demer instead puts himself in a position where he gets trapped against the side. And there again, Abdullayev down with a deep Tayotoshi. Demer just stepping out of it, and Abdullayev coming in with the Uchimata now, getting the Wazari. Oh, Demer picking up the Wazari? I thought that was Abdullayev's throw. Well, we'll see if that holds up. Okay, Demer will retain that Wazari. Get a break later, we'll be able to get a little replay of that. Abdullayev now, with under a minute to go, definitely has his work cut out for him. So again, Joel Demer, even though he's allowing the play, okay, the referee is correcting the score. So it was Abdullayev's Wazari. And now Joel Demer, really in a tough spot, 40 seconds to go. Abdullayev now coming in for a Sutemiwaza, which was, I think, rather perfunctory, more or less, to keep Demer from launching his own attack. But Demer down now by 2 Shidos and a Wazari. And Abdullayev now pretty much riding out the clock with 15 seconds left. As we saw from the beginning, Abdullayev is clearly a strong tactical player. He knows how to play the edge. I think he pretty much knows how to play the clock too. He's now this is the kind of pressure. Joel Demer backing the Russian up against the side of the mat. But time is out, and Abdullayev from Russia will win with a Wazari over Joel Demer from Canada. Still a very respectable showing for the Canadian today. I think that if he is able to continue to improve his game so that he's putting more pressure on his opponents in the center of the match, we'll be seeing a lot more from the Canadian in the future. Okay, up next.
Second round for man under 6 kilos, the 91. Individually for Romania.
On mat 1, we'll stay here on mat 1. We have Saha from Finland versus Borz Dumitrescu from Romania. Under 60 kilos. It's round 2 match. Oh, and Saha in for that deep kata jujitsu, single wing choke, single hand choke. But Boris from Romania was able to turn out of it. It's a good thing too, because that looked like it was pretty deep. I like Saha's stance. He's got a strong left side stance, but his posture remains very, very upright. So as we watch him line up again, watch how he takes this big, strong left side step, but his shoulders remain square, so he's able to move. He's really, really getting a good angle on the Romanian. And even though Romanian had an attack there, it really didn't discommode Saha at all. And you can see that Boris Dumitrescu, just his stance is just not quite as assertive.
Next contest on the
Finns.
for man under 55 kilos.
So now we can see, let's see how player from Finland is able to really get something going here. The thing that Boris Dumitrescu does have is he's got a strong right hand grip over the side, and so both players now, because they have what's called a Kenkaiotsu grip, one right side versus a left side grip, you can hold your other shoulder out, you can hold your other side away and keep the other player from getting a good grip with their second hand. And that's a defensive tactic. Ooh, Boris Dumitrescu coming in, trying to come in with a big lift. Oh, and Saha really converting it there at the last moment. When they came down, there was no control, so there's no score on either player's part. So if you keep your other hand away from allowing the other player to grip, that's a defensive tactic, and you can draw a penalty for that. And that's what both players were penalized for. Saha locking up Romanian's leg, trying to keep the Romanian from getting a complete pin here. Boris working to get that ankle out. Let Saha hold on just long enough. Under a minute left to play. No score on the board. Both players have one Shido apiece. And again, you see this strong, see how Finland has a strong left side grip. Romania, oh, Katakiruma variation. Nice conversion there by Boris Dumitrescu for the Ippon. That's coming in deeply for that kind of sacrifice version of Katakiruma, where instead of grabbing the leg, you retain this strong grip on the upper body. You can get a quick replay of that. No, doesn't look like it. So, but instead, we'll move on to the next match. Shoka, Konrad Shoka from Belarus versus Hima Useni from Nigeria.
Second round for junior under 60 kilos, the W1.
And remember that you are perfectly free and welcome to switch to other mats if there is a particular player or country that you want to follow. Yes, we're happy to have you stay here and follow along with me as we watch some of these great young players here at the 2018 Junior World Championships. So, Hina Husseini picking up a Shido for a false attack. I was thinking that he was in danger of grabbing the leg there, which is a penalty we don't see very often nowadays. But it's worth explaining that if while you're both in a standing play situation, if you grab the leg, that is a Shido. You're not allowed to grab the leg when you're trying to throw. And it's the one penalty that if you do it twice, you'll be out of the contest.
Winner on 3, in blue for Hungary,
Shoka trying to come in for Wazari, but Husseini really riding it out. Shoka was in really deep. I think it was actually in too deep. He just couldn't. His Uchimata elevation really overshot. Shoka really working on this overhand, right-hand grip, really drawing Husseini in, forcing Husseini to really drive out and stand up. Oh, and Husseini, and nice! Trying to come in with his own Uchimata, but Shoka riding it out and converting it to a counter. And Shoka now trying to finish up with a Shimewaza and drawing the mate. Husseini tapping out. So Shoka with a good Uchimata counter, finishing up with a nice choke for the Ippon. Konrad Shoka from Belarus for the Ippon in this under 60 kilogram match.
Winner of the W1 in white for Belarus, Konrad Shoka.
So let's move to mat 2, where we'll pick up our first 44 kilo match. I haven't seen any of those today.
The W1, second round for men under 60 kilos.
Mat 2. And this will be Amanda Arias from Brazil versus Bramila Alieva from Azerbaijan.
First round for junior women under 44 kilos, round 2. In blue for Azerbaijan, Bramila Alieva. In white for Brazil, Amanda Arias.
So this is the first round in 44 kilos. This is their very first match. The first seed in this match is the returning world champion at this weight class. I'm sorry, Lois Petit. She is a returning player at this weight class. She did not place first. What did she do last year? She was bronze medalist last year at the World Championships. And somebody that I thought would also be really, really good to look at today. Lois Petit from France, from Belgium, I should say. She's 66 and 24, 37 wins by Ippon. First of the European Juniors and first of the Berlin Juniors as well last year, in the last year. But she had a bye in the first round, so this is the first contest in the under 44 kilo weight class.
Winner of the 3, in white for Hungary.
Azerbaijan has a terrific judo following, that I learned last month at the World Championships in Baku. It's really amazing how tremendously enthusiastic the Azerbaijanis people are in judo. President himself came to watch.
Next contest on Academy 3. First round for junior women under 44 kilos.
course, Brazil has a terrific judo tradition as well. So this is a strong match to start with. Both of these players are facing somebody really, really tough. Alieva working to get this pin going, but Araya is able to lock her out. You see how Alieva is coming in strongly enough that even though she is the shorter player, she's forcing Arayas into a much more defensive position. Arayas in for a little bit of a Sutemiwaza there, but Alieva doing a good job of just stepping out of it. Again, we're missing that Kazushi, that completely coordinated Kazushi, where you draw the opponent off balance and lock them into a position so that you can complete the rotation with the throw. So let's see if it plays out again. Alieva has definitely had the momentum in setting up the match. She comes in really strongly. Arayas really backing up. Alieva in for a kind of an attack. So even though Arayas has got that deep attack there, Alieva is just stopping it cold. That really deep Chigari on Arayas' part. But Alieva was just able to step out and brace. Didn't bring her around at all. So again, no breaking the balance. And that's something that I was also thinking about when I was looking at who to watch today. Who are the people who have got their judo technique really, really completely coordinated? Between not just the entry and the timing, but pulling in this all-important Kazushi. If you don't have that Kazushi, that breaking balance, you're just not going to be able to finish the throws. And at this level, not only are people have incredibly strong defensive games, but they're also extremely good at turning out of throws, even when they're thrown, to avoid the score. So it's something that's very, very difficult to completely execute. And if your ability to break your opponent's balance is not completely and totally coordinated with the entry of a throw, with the timing of a throw, then it's just not going to work. That's one of the things that makes judo such a difficult sport, that you've got not only somebody who's resisting you, but you've got a tremendous number of variables to manage and to execute in the correct sequence at the correct time with all of the power that you need. So, golden score between Arayas and Alieva. No score on the board. Alieva down by 2 shidos. And Arayas in with Sewanage, which she rotates just enough, brings her around, and just brings Alieva down to her back just enough to draw that wazari. Just a few seconds into golden score. Alieva clearly unhappy with that result after a really well-fought match. But Arayas just had the edge there as they went into golden score. Araya is walking across to shake hands, but Alieva is clearly unhappy and is just bowing and walking off. Of course, you're not required to shake hands at all. That's something extra that a lot of the players do. You are required to bow, but shaking hands is not at all a requirement. And in fact, for most of judo history was actually prohibited, but has just become so ubiquitous that it's completely accepted. So, up next, again, under 44 kilos on mat 2, we have Erika Lasso from Colombia versus Todokoro Chihiro from Japan. So 88 kilos. It's 96.8 pounds. I'm sorry, 44 kilos, 96.8 pounds. Chihiro Todokoro drawing a Shido for stepping out of bounds there briefly. But you can see how, so again, as I was talking about before, perhaps the greatest contrast in country styles of play can be seen between the Japanese and the Georgians. Todokoro is demonstrating this completely classical Japanese style of play. Her posture is very, very upright, and she has that deep, big Uchimata from a Sode Tsurikomi grip. That kind of blended attack is something that is terrific to see. And if we're able to see a replay of that, that would be terrific. But that kind of style of play is something that we expect to see from the Japanese, and here we'll get to... maybe we'll get to see a replay. But in any case, that kind of style of play from the Japanese is something that we that I always, just look forward to seeing from this really wonderful upright posture, deep stance, and terrific execution where everything is coordinated the way I was talking about. Timing, entry, off balance with this beautiful elevation and complete rotation, complete conversion into a full rotation of the throw. Down solidly onto the back. Beautiful throw. Probably the most technical throw that we've seen today so far. Okay, up now we have Gamze Saima from Turkey versus Jasmine Russell from the Bahamas. So here we have, what a first Bahamian player of the day, but up against a very tough Turkish opponent. Saima coming in for that Haraigoshi or Ashiguruma maybe. Oh, and now Turkey's in for this kata tejime, very deep. Oh, she's tapped. She may be out. Nope, not quite, but she was close. Close enough. A little dazed. And the referee has the latitude to call the match if he feels that the player is in some jeopardy, being choked out. So, Gamze Saima from Turkey over Jasmine Russell from the Bahamas. And as you can see there, something that you'll see at the junior level, even at the World Championships, Russell had a brown belt on, which is something that you don't see too often at the championship level, World Championship level, but still does occasionally occur at the juniors.
Next contest on Tatami 3. First round for women 44 kilos. Individually for Azerbaijan, Shafar Hamidov.
Okay, so we'll stay here. Under 48 kilos, Martinez from Spain in white versus Chakir from Marrakesh.
In blue for Morocco, Aziza Shakir. In white for Spain, Laura Martinez. Second round for men under 60 kilos, Tatami 1. In blue for France, Yonis Couillon. In white for
So here you have a very different style of play, where both players are coming in. Now it's a right hand to right hand grip, but you can see how they are both very defensive. They're coming in with with those really strong grips. They both have a sleeve and the collar grip, but you can see how they're both keeping their hips well back and their feet fairly square. So that's a way to really keep your opponent from coming in and attacking, but it also makes it difficult to attack on your own. And as you can see, okay, Chakir draws the Shido here. I'm a little surprised that it wasn't both Shidos, because they were both identical. But there we have Martinez in for a big drop Sewanage for the Ippon. So as soon as that opened up, as soon as Chakir, and this is why penalties can really matter sometimes. Chakir drawing the Shido opened up, and that gave Martinez Arlenda the opportunity to come in with that really, really big dynamic sewanage for the Ippon. Okay, staying on mat 2. We have 48 kilos still. Ferreira from Brazil versus Blandine Pont from France. After this match, I think we'll switch to mat 3 though, to try and catch the next match by Daria Biladid against Naatbek from Kazakhstan. But right now, we're going to say how Ferreira from Brazil does against Blandine Pont from France. Again, here we see, I think, Ferreira has the brown belt, but in for the Uchimata. Okay, and there's a good example of what I was talking about before, where Ferreira was in. She clearly had great penetration with that left leg and really good elevation, but no kazushi, no breaking the balance. So Blandine Pont was never really in a threatening position to be thrown. Whoops. Blandine Pont coming in, trying to get a grip and accidentally jabbing Ferreira in the jaw. Happens sometimes as players. This really furious grip exchange. Hands get guided up into the wrong place. Completely unintentional, of course, but disconcerting nonetheless. Another big Uchimata attack by Ferreira, but again, no kazushi. However, because there's a couple of really strong, serious attacks on Ferreira's part, Pont draws the first Shido, the first penalty for passivity. She hasn't launched any of her own attacks, even though she's been the more aggressive player with her gripping. Okay, a little bit of a technical issue with the camera. Okay, here we are.
Second round, women under 48 kilos. Representing France, Julie Thibault.
And here we have Pont with that overhand grip. And you can see how she had a big threat against Ferreira, and Ferreira knew it too. And Ferreira dropped. I'm surprised that she didn't draw a Shido for that. You cannot simply drop to the mat to avoid play. France is, I think Ferreira, I was going to say earlier, has a brown belt on, so doesn't have quite the experience that Pont does. And as you can see, and she has these attacks going, she reaches in, gets that leg going, but there's absolutely nothing going on with her hands, so Pont is able to just pretty much stand and ride out all these attacks. But Pont has got to get her own attacks going too. One thing I think Blandine Pont is struggling with is Laura Ferreira's very strong left-hand grip is really keeping Pont from coming in and getting the throws that she really wants. I think if we see her reaching over the shoulder and getting that kind of aggressive position again, we're going to see something different. But right now she's allowing Ferreira to come in over the shoulder. Okay, 1 minute, 5 seconds left in the competition. No score on the board. Blandine Pont still down by a Shido for that very, very early penalty, just stepping off the mat. Pont taking a strong right-hand stance. Ferreira's a left-handed stance, but you can see that it's more defensive. It's not nearly as assertive as Ferreira's, even though Pont has, it was for non-combativity, it was for passivity, that was it. because Ferreira's had the more concerted and committed attacks, like this one. Again, in for that Uchimata. But not really moving Ponte around at all. 20 seconds left in the match. And I think if we've seen several matches where at the very last second, somebody really steps it up, changes it up, gets it scored. No time left. I don't think we're going to see that this time.
That time is golden score.
We're in golden score now. And Blondine Pont in for Sewanage. But her rotation wasn't quite deep enough, and Ferreira was able to step out of it and sprawl, keeping herself from getting turned over. So there was no exposure. Back was not exposed to the mat at all. Oh, a little bit of miscommunication. So the referee is saying, go ahead, play. And here we see Pont, I think, picking up the pace a little bit. Ferreira really reaching across with a, she's just longer and taller, so she's really trying to take advantage of that. And in again with that Uchimata. No Kazushi, so Pont actually comes off the other way. Four to 2 seconds into golden score. Okay, let's switch to mat 3, where Daria Biladid is up. Let's get a chance to look at, let's go to mat 3, where we'll see the current senior world champion, Daria Biladid, up against Akmara Nautbek from Kazakhstan. Biladid in blue, Nautbek in white. And there you can see, so something to watch for in Biladid's play. She gets, with her tremendous height and reach, she'll get this very, very dominant left side grip, and then she'll work in for either Ouchigari or Uchimata. And even though her play is very, very consistent, and you would think therefore readable and you can really predict it, she's so effective at it that just nobody in her weight class has found a way to answer it there. And even when she doesn't get the attack, Nautbek just dropped down, and Biladid has a response for that too. She gets into this sankaku situation where Nautbek did a great job of locking up that far leg so that Biladid couldn't finish up that sankaku. But Biladid loves to get that sankaku entry and then convert it over into sankaku gatame, a triangle pin. Sankaku meaning triangle, gatame meaning pin or hold. And there we go, in for that strong left grip, in for Ouchigari, and switching it up to a Kouchigari for the Wazari. Nice combination on Biladid's part. And then coming in for, she's almost, nope, that shouldn't be Osaikomi because her leg is trapped. The referee was calling Osaikomi, but Nautbek had Biladid's leg trapped. So should not technically be Osaikomi. And of course, after that, so there's no score. Although if it had been a valid Osaikomi, it would have continued, even though they were completely off the mat, because it was continuous action. So Biladid up by Wazari by half point. And just recalling again, the rule now is that 2 Wazaris will end a match for Wazari Awasete Ippon. Oh, and Nautbek down in for an attempt. Not really sure what she was trying to throw there, but Biladid taking the opportunity to try and get a little bit of shimiwaza going. Just in case you're interested, that match we were watching earlier between France and Brazil is still going on mat 2. Golden score. So, billeted in again with that strong left-hand grip, looking for either Uchimata or for Ouchigari. And Notbeck really trying to find a way to attack, but that's just so strong. Oh, she's doing all she can just to hold. It's all she can do just to hold billeted out with her own right hand. So a little note here is you look at the name tags. Most name tags are, if you're in a white gi, you have a name tag with a white patch with a blue stripe at the top and the letters are in white. But if you look at Billedid's name tag, it's actually red, which signifies that you are world champion. You are the current world champion. So that's what that is, if you ever wondered. If you see a player with a gold band across the top, that means that they are the current Olympic champion. We're not going to see that today. And of course it's so, back in play. 28 seconds left to go. Billedid. Nice, there she goes with that Ouchigari. But just enough to... So one of the things that Daria Billedid has that we were seeing that was missing in the match between Brazil and France is that combination of, that coordination of entry at Tsukuri and off-balance Kuzushi. So these two elements in the throw, off balancing and entry, Kuzushi and Tsukuri, have to be done in perfect coordination, which allows you to successfully execute the throw, or kake. So these two elements, foundational elements, lead to a third. So Daria Billedid with the Wazari. Will advance to the next round. Okay. And on mat 2, just to let you know, in case you stayed with us, Brazil won that match against Blandine Pont from France. So up now, Dolgik from Russia versus La Puerta Comas from Spain, who we watched in the first round. Okay, so La Puerta Comas in for this big Ouchigari, really driving, but Dolgik, almost converting at the last moment, but La Puerta Comas holding on and really able to just get enough of Dolgik's shoulder down to get the Wazari in that exchange. That's something that along with the Georgians, Russian players are known for his tremendous upper body strength and power, and just really enjoying the play of judo up at that level. So for La Puerta Comas to come in with that kind of drawing the wazari, canceling the wazari, so not enough control on La Puerta Comas' part. Dolgic was able to take enough control away so that there was no score there. But that was really remarkable that La Puerta Comas was coming in and attacking like that at all. That's usually the region where Russian and Georgian players tend to excel. Okay. The referee may be getting a bit of direction here from the commission. Oh, and in fact, not only did Dolgic take enough control away, but she actually countered La Puerta Comas in that exchange. So now she has the wazari. And La Puerta Comas coming in with Uchimata and getting her own wazari. So now the match is even with 2:13 in the contest. So La Puerta Comas clearly not satisfied with having that score not only erased but taken away. And now she has an opportunity to do that same kind of ouchigari again, but she's clearly avoiding it at this point. So we'll see if she takes that opportunity again. Oh, there she goes in again with that ouchigari over the shoulder grip and down. Oh, and again, Dolgic stepping out of it enough to keep any score from occurring.
The next contest on Benefit 2. Second round for the women under 48 kilos.
And again, coming in again. Really wants to get that score. And this time she got it for... Nope. The referee initially called a wazari, but Dolgic had really turned her shoulder completely to the side. So there was no exposure to the back at all. You could see it from this angle. Still, La Puerta Comas really, really wants that throw. And Dolgic picking up a Shino again for ouchigari, this over-shoulder ouchigari combination, which is so aggressive. La Puerta Comas really staying on the offensive here with 1:22 left in the match. Just has not let up for a second. Ekaterina Dolgic really, really having her work cut out for her. Has only just gotten on the board from that one early counter. And La Puerta Comas again over the shoulder, but switching it up a little bit. Again in for the ouchigari. Coming in, she's reached so far over the shoulder, she's got the belt, and this time takes Ekaterina Dolgic down to her back for Wazari Awaseti Ippon. It might have been an Ippon by itself, but certainly commanding enough to finish up this match. Very, very commanding performance by La Puerta Comas from Spain over Ekaterina Dolgic from Russia. So I think we'll stay on this mat for the next match, which will be Beder from Turkey versus Yoshida Sana from Japan.
And we're interested to see Yoshida because there is the possibility, if things continue the way they're going, of Yoshida in the top half of the draw coming up against Biladid in the lower half of the draw in the final. For me, that, is a serious possible matchup. Anyway, before we get that far, we've still got the mat 3 contest, haven't we?
Oh, yes. And Yoshida. Oh, we're on mat 3.
Yeah, we're still
on mat 3. Yeah.
Not unless you want to go somewhere else. I mean, I don't mind watching Yoshida at all.
Yeah, so could we switch to mat 2?
Mat 2.
Yeah.
Let's go down there. Tuksa Beda of Turkey faces Yoshida Sana of Japan. It's Beda in the white judogi, Yoshida in blue. We've got a minute and a half left to go, and Beda has picked up a single sheet. I had a quick chat with Yoshida. It had to be quick because she's got limited English, but we were having a chat about her following in her sister's footsteps. And she says, no, I'm perfectly happy at 52. 48, sorry, 48. Yeah.
Another person to watch today, though, is up on mat 3, Bolakbekov from Kazakhstan at under 55. He's the one returning player at this weight class from the 2017 Junior World Championships. He placed 5th last year, but there were no other returning placers from that weight class. So I think he's somebody to watch in the under 55 kilo men's division. But in this mat, Yoshida has clearly commanded, and coming in with Uchimata. Even though one player is on their knees, it is still legal to throw as long as you have remained on your feet in the throwing situation. And so here's another thing I talked about earlier, where after going in for the throw, immediately transitioning to newaza. And so here we have Yoshida really, really trying to turn better, and does get the turn, but Beda really over-rotates, avoiding the pin. Clever bit of newaza on her part, but clearly is taking a defensive position here, just not going to try and attack from there. Yoshida really is having it all her own way at the moment. And Yoshida with the Wazari over Beder from Turkey will advance to the third round. Okay, up next in the under 55 kilos, round 2, will be Kalmatov from the Ukraine versus Ibragimov from Russia. Kalmatov will be in white, Ibragimov in blue.
In white for Ukraine, Yushov Kalmatov.
So here you can see the kind of aggressive posture that I was talking about with Papinashvili earlier in the day, this time demonstrated by the Ukraine player. Kalmatov trying to work a Sankaku attack, but Ibragimov successfully holding it off long enough to be called back to the feet. Kalmatov's a bit more aggressive here on the feet. He's got a bit more. He's got the sleeve, he's got the collar, whereas Ibragimov is just holding him off with a double sleeve grip. Kalmatov doesn't seem to be quite able to find the angle that he likes. Ibragimov's got a very deep defensive stance there, the Jigotai posture that Sheldon and I were discussing earlier in the day. Ibragimov, okay, drawing the first penalty for passivity. The referee, I think, making a correction. Both players have a Shido. I guess he called them both for passivity. Ibragimov was a little bit more defensive. Kalmatov wasn't really launching any attacks on his own. So keep working positively for the throw. Both players clearly very tentative in their attacks here. Lots of power in the upper body, lots of tension, really trying to draw the other player in, but neither player really feeling comfortable enough to commit with the lower body and not getting any kazushi and really drawing the other player off balance.
Second round, women men 60 meters, 71.
So here we go. Again. 1:30 left in the match. No score. One Shido apiece. And Boat Bikov on mat 3 just lost to Abek Ulu, who we saw earlier in the day from Kyrgyzstan. So both players still locked in this position. Ibragimov has picked up a second Shido. This is the kind of thing when you've got players who are really powerful, got very, very similar styles of play. Oh, a little bit of Ashiwaza there. And Kalmatov really nearly catches Ibragimov. Makes him stumble a bit.
Second round for junior men 55 kilos,
31 seconds in the contest. Kalmatov being directed to tie his belt. Ibragimov with a deep left-hand grip. But you can see how his stance is. See, earlier I was talking about this terrific stance I think the Finnish player had, and that you see often in Japanese players too, where they have a very aggressive stance in addition to a very powerful grip, and so that allows them to both attack and defend very dynamically. Something we're seeing with Ibragimov is that he's got a strong left-hand grip, but his stance is very square. So it's very, very ready to defend, but not in a good position to attack. So you can see how he's on his heels quite often. He comes in for these low kind of hooking Ashiwaza with his left foot, but he's not really dislodging Kalmatov at all. Now he's switched up a little bit. He's reached over with his right hand, trying to get this big throw going, but Kalmatov able to ride it out. Ibragimov really reaching over, coming in with a Uchimata Ojigari finish that we saw earlier with this Spanish player. And Kalmatov picking up a second Shido now. So now both players have 2 Shidos. One more penalty will end the contest. Ibragimov!
Nice Makikomi.
Nice Makikomi, right there.
Just got the arm in the right position there. Kalmatov just had the arm extended. It was far out enough and away from his body that Ibragimov could get into that space, wrap his own arm around that, just bring it across his body, and then it doesn't sound nice, but it's a little falling motion as he pulls his opponent down sideways.
And it's a very powerful throw, and it was a nice switch up from what he had done before, so that's something.
I can see Elisabetta Frattini making her way here, but she only wants to pass and wave. She hasn't come to give us anything like papers or any information. Here's another look at that. Oh, he thought about the Seonagi at first, didn't he? Look,
he did.
He had the arm going up and then it went over, look. And well, maybe. Yeah.
But it's a big switch up from what he had been doing before, so that's a nice feature.
Yeah, that was good. Wrapped it up nice and tight, and over he went. Right, who have we got on mat number 2 now? Mircea Tomescu of Romania versus Moises Rosado of Mexico. It's Tomescu in the white judogi, Rosado in blue. Gee, we're going to take a little bit of a coffee break. I think that's going to leave you at home in the unfortunate position of having me for company for a while. Kezugatami wasn't the strongest, but managed to hold on for long enough, did Rosado, and a bit of a shocker there for Tomescu as he gets caught. Round 2 contest. Tomescu losing out there. 55 kilo category at the moment. There's a really interesting contest coming up shortly. That'll be on mat number 1 in round 3. Let's have a look at that. No, well, that is effectively round 3. 3 rounds, quarter-final, semi-final. So a round 3 contest coming up shortly between Husseinov and Papinashvili. Karamat Husseinov, the number 1 seed. Anyway, right now we've got James Zara of Australia on mat 2 against Dean Meurs of the Netherlands. It's Zara in the white judogi, Meurs in blue. Both fighters on the Rosario piece here. Interesting times. Half the contest gone, Wazari apiece. Zara was trying to effect the turnover then, but strong defense from Meurs.
Winner in white judogi for Brazil, Renan Torres. Second round for junior weight under 60 kilos, the 981. Including for Georgia.
Well, eventually, Dean Mers coming up with the winning score there. That takes him past James Zara, the under 55 kilo category, and into the quarterfinal.
Winner 1-2, in blue for the Netherlands, Don Bruce. Next contest on Tatami 3. Second round for junior under 55 kilos, in blue.
He'll face the winner of the upcoming contest between Balabé Agiev and Davanian Bulchalun of Mongolia. Agayev in the white judogi, Davanian in blue. Round 2 contest in the under 55 kilo category. Sanjaku Gutami from the Azeri. Neatly done. Davanian getting caught on the ground there. Agayev proving that a little bit too wily, I suppose, might be the right way to describe that little turnover that he effected. Okay, we continue with the first of the quarterfinals now. This is in the under 44 kilo category. Todokoro Chihiro of Japan faces Gamze Seima of Turkey. It's Todokoro in the white judogi, Seima in blue. That is, sorry, beg your pardon, that's the quarterfinal coming up next. Before that, we've got Lois Petit of Belgium. She's up against Amanda Ares of Brazil. It's Petit in the white judogi, Ares in blue. I don't know why I jumped to the upcoming contest. It's Petit and Ares to begin with. That's the first of the quarterfinals.
Including representing Georgia, the current junior world champion, Java Patinashvili. In category representing Azerbaijan, the silver medalist at junior world championship last year, Karma Husenko.
Turnover didn't work there for Petit.
Winner by 3, in white for Azerbaijan, Roshan Aliyev. Second round for junior women under 55 kilos for round 3. In blue jury for Japan, Honda Hayate. In white jury for Turkey, Yozan Uzushi.
It's just coming up to 1 o'clock here in Nassau, and we've got the first of the quarterfinals already, so perfectly possible that within the next hour the youngsters could get a bit of a break. Two weight categories, we've got 3 mats. Well, 4 weight categories, sorry. 2 men, 2 women. Could be done in an hour.
Hold the score to down 2.
Well, that was a great end, wasn't it, for Lois Petit? She was troubled by an elbow injury, but it still didn't stop her from coming up with a thumping throw against the Brazilian Amanda Harris to take Lois Petit into the first of the semi-finals. Right. Coming up next, Erika Lasso. Sorry. Gonna have to get used to this. Coming up next, the second of the quarterfinals. Todokoro Chihiro of Japan faces Gamze Seima of Turkey. It's Todokoro in the white judogi, Seima in blue.
The next quarterfinal on mat 2, junior women 44 kilos. In blue for Turkey, Gamze Seima. In white for Japan, Todokoro Chihiro. The next quarterfinal for women under 48 kilos, tatami 2. In blue judogi for Brazil, Laura Ferreira. In white for Spain, Laura Martinez Alvareda. The number one winner in blue for Georgia, Java Patinashvili. Winner on mat 3 in blue for cross, Melanie Blue. The next quarterfinal for junior women under 44 kilos, tatami 3. In blue judogi, representing Azerbaijan, Shahan Hamidova. In white judogi for Tunisia, Umayna Bedoui. Next contest, tatami 1. Third round, junior men under 6 kilos. In blue for Romania, Lucian Borș-Dumitrescu. In white for Russian Federation, Ramazan Abdullayev.
Number one seed on the map now. I think, let's have a look at that. That's in the under 48 kilo category. It is, yeah. She medalled here last year, if I'm not mistaken. Under 48 kilos. Yeah, that is the number one seed, I beg your pardon, Laura Martinez Abelenda. place in the first semi-final on offer here. Laura Ferreira stands in her way. Yeah, our cameraman has picked up, hasn't he? He's just made it that little bit easier for us to watch there. Thanks very much for that. Sometimes they just have a few too many movements, and really all we need to see is the two fighters in the middle of the shot, which is what we've got now. And then of course when they go to nearwaza, well, they don't move as quickly, and then you can zoom in and get a little bit of a close-up. But really just nice to have the head and feet. Now it's Martinez who picks up a penalty for passivity with 1:20 odd left to go, and Ferreira just asking to have a second to tie her trousers back up. Right, we're underway. 2 penalties picked up by Ferreira. That was the Koji there. Just had Ferreira stumbling for a moment. Thought about the Osodagari, got the left leg across but couldn't quite come up with it. And he's got the legs trapped around the body, so there won't be any chance of Asaikomi being called, and the referee does in fact call Nato, who stands them back up with a little under a minute left to go. 2 penalties picked up by Ferreira, just 1 to Martinez. Tall and long-legged for a 48 kilo category fighter, Ferreira. She tries the little makikomi on the far right side of the tatami. It doesn't come off, and we've got 40 odd seconds left to go. Can't afford to pick up another penalty, Ferreira. There's already 2 penalties against her. However, Martinez is not doing herself any favours by picking up a penalty herself. That was the next thing I was going to say, try to avoid that. No, she couldn't. Good pressure from the Brazilian here again with the Osodagari. This time she did go through with it, but Martinez turned onto her front and there was no score. 10 seconds left to go. Both players have picked up 2 penalties apiece, and again Ferreira attacks. That was a strong one and very close to coming up with a score there. There was a good strong attack from Laura Ferreira right at the end of the contest. Well, here we are with the golden score period. Ferreira putting the pressure on. Martinez just slipping a little bit towards the end of that contest, and then picking up a penalty to put her on 2 penalties. Ferreira shaping for the Osodagari, but it was Martinez who attacked with Ojigari. Had Ferreira hopping there to avoid getting caught. Here comes Ferreira again. The low Morote Suanagi effort from Martinez, but she got herself wrapped up, and Ferreira was able to avoid getting caught. Good grip there, but Martinez wrapping the right leg around and blocking that effort from the Brazilian. 40 odd seconds of golden score gone. No real advantage either way in the golden score period. Not the strongest of efforts from Martinez, but it's difficult to expect a great deal when both fighters are very tired. Here comes Martinez coming forward, and again low right-sided effort, but it misses. It looks as though they're going to call Ferreira for passivity. A little bit harsh. I'd have left it for one more cycle, but you know, the thing I don't like about this particular situation is that you've had two weak attacks from Martinez, neither of which looked close to throwing Ferreira, and they were two weak attacks, but not weak enough to be called false attacks, and on the back of that, Ferreira's going to pick up a penalty. I'd have liked to see a third, because we've only had a minute of golden score anyway. But it looks as though Ferreira's going to pick up her third penalty, and that'll be it. Harsh, however, that's the end of it. We will see Ferreira again. She goes down into the repechage, but it's Martinez who goes into the first of the semi-finals. Okay, coming up next, Andrea Stojadinov of Serbia faces Yoshida Sana of Japan. It's Stojadinov in the white judogi, Yoshida in blue. The winner of this will face Martinez in the first of the semi-finals. Stojadinov. Okay, we saw another Serbian in the under 48 kilo category last week when we were in Cancun, Milica Nikolic. I wonder if they've been on the mat together, the junior Stojadinov and the more experienced Milica Nikolic. Picked up a bronze medal there at the Cancun Grand Prix, and it's Stojadinov who is attacking on the ground against Yoshida, looking for the shimiwaza.
Yeah, Yoshida's in a little trouble there.
Well, don't know, she hasn't quite got the turn yet. I think when she gets the turn, then you'd say, but then the hands go. It was just something that didn't look right about the entry.
No. Still, to be on the receiving end, a little different.
Oh yeah, I mean, that for me that was a slip, because someone who's a little bit sharper on the ground, you know, either is going to be able to get the choke on, or at least begin to wrap up the arm. And once you start wrapping the arm up, you know, you can cause problems. But Stojadinov just didn't look as though it was going to go that far. Maybe Yoshida was a little bit slow to defend in the first place. That wasn't a bad little Sutemiwaza effort there from Stojadinov. Just had Yoshida defending against it. And whenever you have to defend, you know that your opponent has either got past your defences or at least caused you some problems. And even that little foot tap there brought Yoshida down, and now she's defending again on the ground, and this time she's managed to wrap the leg around the head, hook the leg, you know, behind the knee there, and apart from the turnover, everything's going well here. If she can just get the turnover. Well, he gave her long enough, didn't he? The referee in the middle, Oliver De Roses from France, let her have two or three stabs at getting the turnover, and she didn't. So he called Mate, and now it's Yoshida's turn to attack, with Ojigari in her turn to have a little dig on the ground. Let's see what happens here. They're quite near the edge of the contest area, so Yoshida has a little bit of a pull to try and bring Stojadinov back into the competition area. She'd like to try and work this on the yellow area rather than the red. Couldn't get it going, so again the mate called with a minute, well, how long is it?
1:55.
So just under 2 minutes left to go. Half the contest gone then. Stojadinov having had the better of the exchanges on the ground, and now a couple of attacks standing up. Not really much to divide the pair at the moment, with a minute and a half left to go. No score and penalty free.
Good strong exchanges though, both players. really working to come in and just try and get something going. But yeah, both have really strong defenses too.
On the adjoining mat, Daria Biladid is involved in her quarter-final. Should really have gone down there to have a look at her and Galia Tinbayeva of Kazakhstan, but they're already deeply involved in this contest, and Yoshida may be, her opponent is possible. We're talking about that as a possible final. Biladid leads by Rosari with 2:20 odd left to go on the adjoining mat. If you want to see that, we've got 40 odd seconds left in this one. As Stoyadinov attacks with Tomo Inagi, but misses.
Well, Stoyadinov is giving Yoshida a really good match.
Yeah, and I think it's well worth having a look at this one, given that one or either of these is going to, end up in the semi-final. Not sure who their semi-final opponent would be, but we can't say that one of these is going to be in the final. Ouchigari on the adjoining mat from Biladid again. She's busy down on the ground as we keep an eye on what's happening here with half a minute left to go. No score between Stoyadinov and Yoshida, and it's now the Serb fighter who picks up a penalty for passivity. It's a little bit harsh given that it's been a really balanced contest.
But Yoshida has turned up the pace a bit. Just a bit.
Biladid has won her contest on mat number 3. That's Biladid into the semi-final. She's in the other half of the draw to Stoyadinov and Yoshida, so there's no chance of these meeting until we get to the final.
Nice sequence by Stoyadinov there. Sideways shuffle into a nice attack, but Yoshida is able to step out and brace enough to keep it from scoring.
Not a bad little fighter, is she? Stoyadinov giving a good account of herself here as we enter the first half minute of golden score. Single Shido against the Serb fighter as Yoshida attempts to turn her opponent over. Thought about extending the arm for an arm lock there, decided to go instead for the turnover on this side, and Stoyadinov's defense proved strong enough.
So Yoshida holding off Stoyadinov, even though Yoshida clearly is at a height disadvantage here.
Had a little bit of a loss. Let's go down to mat number 3 then. See what's happening down on mat number 3. Sorry. Let's try number 1. Beg your pardon. Let's go to number 1. Oh no, he's not going to
That just finished
because Koga Genki is
Koga Genki is just won by an ippon.
He's won by a ippon. Right. Well, I suppose we could stay. No, let's go up to mat number 3. Sorry. And the reason we're going to go up to mat number 3 is because they've got quarter-finals going on up there, whereas on mat number 3 they're still doing the round 3 contests. As and when we can recover what's happening on mat number 2, we will. But Stoyadinov and Yoshida are still involved in the battle there as we wait for Kuban Aybek Ulu of Kyrgyzstan. He's up against Ikmongul Yadam of Mongolia. It's Aybek Ulu in the white judogi, Ikmongul in blue. Quarterfinal in the under 55 kilo category. tell you what's happening with Stoyadinov and Yoshida. There's still no score in that. There's a second penalty picked up by Stoyadinov, and they've had a minute and a half of golden score.
We saw a beautiful throw by Aibek Ulu earlier in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a really nice kategorima drop.
Bit of a hot property, is he?
It was one of the better technical throws that we'd seen up to that point. So we'll see what he does against Ikmongol.
Yeah, I was chatting with Daniel Laskow this morning, and he has a lot to do with the classification of Waza. And the third penalty picked up by Stoyadinov on mat number 2 puts her down into the repechage. It's Yoshida who goes into the semi-final. That's the contest that we were watching. Meanwhile here, there's no score between Aibek Ulu and Ikmongol. Yeah, and Daniel Lasker was just pointing out that the Kodokan issued a document about the classification of Waza, and they issue that document in Japanese. They don't issue any documents
other language.
in other languages. They don't do any translations. But there was a serious nod towards the use of the term drop. And in that document, it says there is no equivalent term in judo for drop, and the closest thing that they could come to was low.
So they didn't want to use otoshi.
We have translated it as drop, not them. You know, they have another term for that. So low is one thing for them. Sitting down, the act of sitting down, is another thing. And falling down deliberately is another. So there's sort of three things, and our use of these things to shorten them for ourselves, because we understand what we mean by drop, you know, and we use that, and they shy away from that, because the translation back into Japanese is something else, because to drop in Japanese is accidental. When you translate it back, that term means you didn't mean it to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you dropped it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so to drop in Japanese doesn't work for them, because everything is planned, you know.
So how would they translate taiotoshi then?
We have translated it as body drop.
Body drop, but how would they?
But the word that we use, drop, when translated back into Japanese, is not that. It doesn't work. You know.
Because that clearly is, otoshi is different from a sutemi waza, a sacrifice.
Exactly. And
then this other sitting down motion is different still. So it's interesting that in English we don't have it quite as clearly or distinctly parsed.
I think what happened was that somebody had done some kind of translation where they had read the English, you know, body drop, and translated back into Japanese, but they didn't know waza. So nobody who knows judo is going to translate body drop to anything other than taiotoshi, which would be acceptable. But they didn't. The person doing this this classification didn't know, and saw the English body drop and wrote down whatever body is and whatever drop is, and chose the wrong word.
But it wasn't otoshi.
And it wasn't otoshi. And they said, so that's when the issue of drop came up, and they said they'd rather that you use the term taiotoshi rather than say body drop. And then for seonagi, for example, instead of classifying it as a drop seonagi, you know, say low seonagi. Because it's a low seonagi.
It is very low.
And even if you go to your knees and do seonagi, it's still low. you know.
So, but there's going down to your low seoinage and then never coming off your knees again, which in the United States at least, we distinguish as a drop seoinage versus morote seoinage.
In the UK as well.
Yeah.
However, I've seen them classify that at Grand Slams in Tokyo, and there is no difference between seoinage,
Right.
standing up,
Right.
that you throw,
And coming all the way down.
and
Driving
seoinage.
down. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We do the classification. We do that. We describe that differently in order for people at home to know what the difference between the two techniques is, although they can see it.
Right.
But let's say that you were visually impaired and you wanted to know, and we were going to describe that. In the UK and in North America, they would say drop seoinage. And as I say, this classification that came up, they said they would rather that you use low.
So, and there is a different dynamic when
Absolutely, yeah.
They become almost different throws. An analogy I use in teaching is it's the difference between a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver. One type of hammer versus another type of hammer. They use them different times. So,
although at times, one has to be really careful with concepts and Japan, because they tend to have a fairly rigid
Yes.
understanding of this fits in this box.
Right.
And I suppose that's why seoinage is seoinage for
Right.
them, unless there's a difference between, the hand movement,
Right. Morote and Ippon.
morote and ippon,
Right.
and even eri,
Right.
So those things, yes. Anyhow, just thought I'd throw that in there for you, viewers at home.
A little bit of technical discussion.
We hope you've been interested in that in that particular point and not completely bored out of your senses.
In the meantime, Aibek Ulu has really been struggling with his left arm. He kind of tweaked it, but he stayed in the match, and Ik Mongol has not been able to completely throw, even though they're 1:40 into golden score. And Aibek Ulu has picked up 2 Shidos now. So unless Aibek Ulu is able to do something quite extraordinary, I think Ik Mongol is just basically, and there he almost did it. Big Uchimata coming in. But no Kazushi. He just doesn't have anything on that left side. And so he came in for a left side Uchimata, but had no Kazushi, no off balance. And so Ik Mongol was able to ride it out. So Ik Mongol pressing his advantage. Not doing anything untoward on the left arm, but still trying to win the match. Oh! And Aibek Ulu comes through with the left side Uchimata. I'm sorry, right side Uchimata. Right side Uchimata. Enough to throw Ik Mongol. Very, very nice. Really impressive finish, given that the Kyrgyzstan player has clearly got an injury on his left arm. We'll see how he fares and how he continues in the next round.
Right, let's have a look at who's coming up next here on mat number 3. Roshan Aliyev of Azerbaijan faces Handa Hayate of Japan. It's Aliyev in the white judogi, Handa in blue. And just to continue a little bit on that classification of what I remember coming across something called the Kokusai Shiai Waza. I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
No.
I'm delighted that you've said that you haven't seen that before, because it's a viper's nest. I'd love to chat to people about that. And it was something that the late Roy Inman was very heavily involved with in the UK, which was the recognition that because of competition, not new techniques, but variations of existing techniques were coming up. And what he wanted to do was to classify those techniques as competition waza, because things happen in competition that we recognize, and we see a base technique, but we know that it's slightly different because the dynamics in competition are different.
Right.
And he came up with this list of competition, shiai waza, kokusai shiai waza, one of which he called Kata Hizazuki Seo Toshi. And only when the kokusai waza became known to the powers that be in Japan did it become apparent that this was not really, the thing that they were happiest about.
No, this wouldn't fit into their sensibilities.
Kata Hiza Tai Toshi. All of these things are, explainable. Morote Kata Sode Tai Toshi. But what happened was certain Japanese terms were taken from the techniques that were seen, lumped together with others, and said these are the techniques. What it didn't do was to do it from the position of a native Japanese speaker. So what you had was gibberish, basically. Because some of the techniques are in any case difficult for native speakers to understand.
Right.
When we translate rice bale reversal, for example,
Right.
I mean, who in Japan knows what you're talking about except someone who knows judo? So it was important for these techniques to be identified properly classified using proper terms, rather than just pulling different things from different techniques that you had seen, saying they fit.
Right.
It's a really interesting thing to look at, the development of that list, and then see how it was received or not received, as the case may be.
So it's interesting that it is kept in the classical categories of hand techniques, leg techniques,
Absolutely.
hip techniques.
Yeah, absolutely. Shitemi waza and koshi waza, But I mean, some of them are almost laughable.
Yeah, that one is certainly.
I love I love the first in the list in the ashi waza. Kata hizate o uchi gake ashidori. Come on.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
So the other thing that must be, going on here is that something had to be done frequently enough that, it was going to be named.
Absolutely. And Roy, to his absolute credit, recognized that. He saw that there were differences from the normal ouchi gake movement.
Right.
Oji gake, right. We know where that's going. But there were other things going on, because you had this top half, that looked like an attempted kataguruma, but there was almost like a feint where there was the hook
Bottom
in,
half.
the ouchi, and then the hand was going around the back doing different things. And
Right. So this whole sequence. So that's not just one technique. That's really talking about a whole combination of things, a chain of motions and techniques. Nice little harai.
That was terrific.
Aliyev.
But we'll get it the second time round. There you go.
Yeah.
Handa was trying to turn off that, wasn't he?
Trying to turn, but shoulders come square down. Right down on his upper shoulders there. Yep.
Well, he would have been given...
And he's bridging anyway.
Exactly, Gene. Exactly. He was going to lose that.
So see, that bridge is still illegal. You bridge out, it's an automatic ippon for your partner. I guess they're not calling that as a hansakumake.
No, they allow the attempted technique to be given the benefit of the doubt. Had he not attempted to bridge, had he just said, okay, I'm over.
And he would have been flat.
He would have been flat on his back. It was the bridging of the head going back that gave him the opportunity to get out. And as a result of that, they give the positive rather than saying, mate, hansakumake.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I like that too. Right, who have we got on mat number 3? It's another Azeri, this time the women in the under 44 kilo category. Beringer Fatima of Hungary faces Shafag Hamidova of Azerbaijan. It's Beringer in the white judogi, Hamidova in blue. So I shall leave you at home if you like, to explore the Kokusai Shiai Waza if you're that way inclined. Or maybe Gene will have a little giggle at it later when he puts his feet up tonight in the hotel room. And
It's just trying to pronounce that whole string.
he doesn't want to watch reruns of Happy Days with the Fonz or something.
Nope.
So we're going to have another giggle at something else.
It's a Wikipedia page, so it was in French, but you can translate it. Yeah, Kouchigaki Mara Maki Komi. Soro Ashidori Ouchigari.
I understand the thinking, and I understand the whole,
Right.
but, I tend to go towards what's happening in Japan, to get my information, as opposed to someone who's invented something somewhere else that hasn't got the kind of support, the widespread support of the wider judo community. Right, so I think we've got the first of the semi-finals coming up now, so we're going to stay on mat number 3. We've got repechage contest and quarterfinals. We've still got round 3 going on down on mat number 1. But we've got the first of the semi-finals in the under 44 kilo category. Melanie Frigoul of France faces Umaima Bedoui of Tunisia. It's Frigoul in the white judogi, Bedoui in blue. It was interesting though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We shall bring you other interesting things, I'm sure.
And the other... I wonder if we missed it, but the other semi will be Lois Petit versus Todokoro Chihiro.
They haven't come up yet. That's a good, I think that's going to be on mat 2, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, there. It's
I
the
see
third
yes.
match up, yeah.
So that's something we'll want to see too.
Yeah. And if we get to see the Yoshida semi-final and the Biladid semi-final, they're on different mats.
Right.
And the Koga semi-final when that comes, although I don't think he's that far. I think he's into the quarter-final, Koga, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We haven't quite got that far.
So something I've been discussing throughout the day, Sheldon, has been, it's wonderful to get to know how different countries have styles and flavors of play in addition to these other, aside from the technical discussion, is how do different countries then, pursue judo? And, two of the defining ends of that spectrum, I think, are Japan at one end with its, complete attention to technical play and upright posture, to a much more wrestling-oriented posture and stance that you'll see in Georgia and Russia. And then here, what we've got with France and Tunisia is something somewhere in the middle, where they both start out upright, but as soon as they get their grips, they're both going to bend over, and they're going to start to play kind of defensively, where you see how they've got, they're bringing their hips out. They don't have really, strong assertive stances, and they end up kind of equal. This is somewhere in the middle of that spectrum of play.
Yeah, this has a little bit more to do with the nature of the individual rather than the country that they come from.
Mm-hmm.
However, to come back to your point, this is not an unknown matchup, not between these two individuals, but the two countries, France and Tunisia. What you have is a country who's got an exceptionally strong link and history with France, and their judo, as a result of that, from time to time looks very similar. So when they grip up it's almost as though they transmit this feeling. I know you and you know me, and all of a sudden they want to try to do things that will close down the scoring opportunities of the other person.
That's right.
In doing that, the first thing that you do is you limit your own.
Yep.
Because you're now concentrating on shutting down the scoring opportunities of your opponent, when what you really want to do is to look at opportunities for scoring yourself.
Right.
And both of these, Frigul and Bedoui, are guilty of that.
Right.
And you see that by the grips that they take. They then put their bodies as far away as possible from their opponents, and then they even go sideways on and duck down, and well, you can't generate anything from there.
No, it's all about shutting the other player out. And you'll see that when you have two players from Japan or 2 players from Georgia, they'll end up in the same place.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, from time to time. And then the other thing is sides. Some players can throw both left and right. Very rarely will you get one who can throw as well, left and right. What you will get is one who is good left and right, and they tend to be more square on because they want to create as many opportunities as they can. The difficulty is when you've got one who is extreme right who comes up against one who's extreme left. So you have the player who is the extreme left with their left foot out advanced and the right side of their body as far away from their opponent as they can.
That's right.
And then the other side is with the right, and then it looks as though they are standing side by side, both looking in the same direction. It's the most awful looking setup.
Mirror images.
Yeah, because their strong sides are now the ones that they're using to defend. The weak sides are turned as far away from their opponents as possible, so they feel so that they feel safe. But it ends up looking as though they are almost dancing. Anyway, it hasn't been that bad, but what you do have is it may have just blocked the leg there. Anyway, it was only
close.
briefly. But what you have now, after 3 minutes and 50 seconds, is a breakdown of that. There's almost a desperation coming through, and it's coming through from Bedoui, as she now looks more aggressive.
Well, she's got to. She's got the 2 Shidos. And so that puts her in a bad situation as we head into golden score. With Frigul, still no score for either player, but Bedoui has in a position where if she makes a single mistake, or if Frigul is able to really increase the pace and show that she's got more going, Bedoui is in danger of picking up that final Shido. And it looks like she may pick it up for this, where that last attack, she turned in, but completely lost her grip, did not have any effective Kazushi on Frigul at all, so that typically leads to a false attack call. And she knows it's coming, and she's not happy about having to fix her gi.
What was it you that was saying about Ibek Ulu? It looked as though he'd injured his...
Yes.
Yeah, I think Elisabetta Frattini, well, I know that Elisabetta Frattini has just come over to tell us something. What it is that I think she was saying, because it's quite loud where we are, was that Ibek Ulu picked up an injury and won't now compete in the semi-final, which is a real shame, because that will put him down into the bronze medal contest automatically. And if it's serious enough that he can't compete in the semi-final, the likelihood of him recovering by the time the bronze medal contest comes up is pretty slim.
Right. And of course, that's so unfortunate for the guy you just beat with that last throw.
Yeah. Because he's in the...
Because he's out.
Well, he's gone down into the repechage.
Oh, was it enough? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He's in the quarter... That was a quarter final.
That was a quarter final.
So he goes into the repechage.
Yeah.
So he's still in.
And he was thrown. That was a terrific Uchimata at the very last moment. Or I guess it was in golden score. So 1 minute and 2 seconds into golden score. And as we saw, Bedoui did not pick up a Shido when we thought that she was going to. And Frigul just picked up a Shido herself. Badui really coming down low and trying things that are really sort of... Okay. Badui's coach being asked to leave the area. 1 minute 30 seconds into golden score. Still looking forward to Biladid's semifinal against La Puerta Comas on mat 3. And as well as Koga Genki on mat 1. Two minutes into golden score. Badui still hanging on with Melanie Frigul from France. Oh, might be stepping out there. Nope. Frigul really keep turning up the pace here. Trying to push Badui. He was clearly been struggling a little bit. But still very game, very much in the match. Let's see which player is going to be able to just pull it out. Badui for Sore Tsurigamigoshi, but just so weak on the Kazushi that it didn't really shake Frigul at all. I think whichever player is going to be able to change it up and just get enough in is going to be the one who's going to take it. And I'm really kind of surprised that Badui held on as long as she had. But oh, Frigul in for a big Osodagari. But there again, oh, and Badui, oh, and Badui in with the katatejime. Off that failed Osodagari by Melanie Frigul of France. Umayama Badui just thrilled with this result. She was so close to penalizing out. And takes advantage of the one slip. Melanie Frigul came in with an Osoda that just didn't have the Kazushi, and so when she came down, Badui jumped on the opportunity to do this katatejime for a single-headed choke for the Ippon. Okay, let's move up to mat 2 and pick up Lois Petit from Belgium versus Todokoro Chihiro from Japan. It's a semi-final. They're in the match, 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the match. No score, but Lois Petit has a Shido. Lois Petit is somebody that, as I was going through the weight classes, I thought was somebody to watch today as well. She was a bronze medalist in last year's 2017 World Junior Championships, and has a very nice combination of Uchimata. It's a very nice Uchimata, which she usually, if she doesn't finish completely, goes right into Osekumi with.
And it's also interesting to see how different fighters will solicit a different reaction from another opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And you may see that two go head to head and this one looks a little bit dull and there wasn't anything great. Next contest I think almost like a different fighter, that maybe just something, the feeling that has to come out is different from whoever you've got at the end of your hands.
Right.
Because Yoshida just looks a little bit sharper here than she did in the previous contest with the Serb fighter,
This is Todokoro.
Yadinov. Oh yeah, sorry. I was going to say that in fact, it looks such like a different fighter, but that's only because it is.
It is a different Well, good. I'm glad that it looks so different.
She looks like a completely different fighter from the last contest. That's because it is. I take it all back. Right.
But we do have a very similar kind of match here where, we have the shorter player versus the taller player. Lois Petit has clearly got an advantage in reach and height.
Well, in my defense, she is Japanese.
She is Japanese,
and
she
they
plays...
and they were both wearing a blue suit.
Both playing and the Japanese style of play is so ubiquitous among the Japanese and so consistent that it's very understandable that you would see similar Japanese players, similarly. So, but here we have Todokoro up by Wazari. 1 minute, 3 seconds left in the contest.
This is a semi-final in the under 44 kilo category. If you watch the semi-final with Daria Biladid and La Puerta of Spain, that is on mat number 3. Koga Genki, his semi-final is coming up on mat number 1.
Shall we go to mat 3?
Well, you did pick her out as your number 1
So let's
pick,
do that.
and it looks as though there's going to be a third penalty for Lois Petit in any event. She was trailing by Rosario with 40 odd seconds to go. Let's go down to mat number 3. Yeah, we'll just give you the result of that rather than you hanging around to see the issuing of the Shido and then the result. But I'm sure that is what's going to happen now. Yes, there's a Shido being issued to Lois Petit of Belgium. She loses out to Todokoro Chichiro of Japan, and it's Todokoro who goes into the final. Lois Petit goes into the bronze medal contest. We join the contest between Biladid and La Puerta Comas. With a little over 2 minutes left to go. There's no score. It's Biladid in the white judogi, La Puerta in blue.
La Puerta's had a great day today. She's been very, very strong in every match she's played so far. So she's really coming out very strongly against Biladid as well, knowing, of course, she has her work cut out for her. But she is coming over. She likes to come over with that strong hand over the shoulder and then coming in for that big Ouchigari. She was doing that against the Russian really strongly earlier today, so let's see if she's able to do that against the much taller Biladid. Oh, and Biladid in for her Ouchigari for the Ippon. So there we go. Biladid with her signature Ouchigari, bringing La Puerta Comas down for the very decisive Ippon.
So that is Biladid safely into the final then.
Yep. It was a good match to see. So it's really startling. It's really interesting to see, Biladid has this very, very well-established pattern. She has a very well-established couple of attacks, and it'll be interesting to see how long she's able to continue to execute those without somebody coming up with a really decisive response or a way to, really use what she has there to their own advantage. Because
no, it's absolutely a question that everyone else is asking, Gene. So well put, because everybody wants to know who is going to put a stop to the dream, the fairy tale.
That is Daria Biladid's career right now. That's true. So up now we've got Ik-Mongol from Mongolia in white versus Honda Hayate from Japan in blue.
Just saw the two coaches on the adjoining mat taking to their coaching boxes. And just as they came to their coaching boxes, they bowed to each other and they bowed to the tatami, and it was very nicely done.
Very nice.
You know?
Not something that every coach does?
Well, a number of the British and Dutch coaches, a few of the French coaches have taken to doing that now. I know one of the German coaches always had that as a habit. Anyway, Daniel Gershner, and it always, to me, looked as though they were embarrassing the other coaches who just came and plonked themselves down in the coach's chair, completely unaware that they'd had any respect paid to them at all. You know, and it's just, it was awful, you know, to see.
Honda Hayate with a nice katagatame, right? Very, very classical and very, very difficult to stop. Once you've got that locked in, you get so tight with that shoulder. Well done.
We've got a semi-final in the under 55 kilo category coming up after this, and then we will go to mat number 2 because Martinez of Spain will face Yoshida of Japan. It's the number 1 seed in that weight category. This will be a real test for Yoshida because the winner will face Biladid in the final. So Martinez Abelenda is the number 1 seed. She's going to come up against Yoshida Sana in this semi-final, and the winner will face Daria Biladid, the current world champion. So,
but up now we'll have Aliyev Roshvanj from Azerbaijan.
And Aybek
looks
Ulu.
like who is not going to
Oh, that's
play.
right, yes. So this is the last contest on mat number 3. That will make things easier. The injury picked up by Aybek Ulu of Kyrgyzstan was too serious for him to continue, and he's out of that one. Okay, let's go to mat number 2 then. We join the contest between Laura Ferreira of Brazil. She's up against Andrea Stojadinov of Serbia, and it's the Serb fighter who leads with a little over 2 minutes left to go. She leads by Rosari.
Stojadinov, who we saw earlier against Yoshida.
Oh yeah, she looks I thought that looked like Yoshida.
But Stojadinov gave her a great match, but then eventually, of course, lost. And here she is trying to get that Shimewaza on Ferreira. Ferreira, who surprised me earlier in an earlier match where I thought for sure the other player really had her
done and dusted, yeah.
But Ferreira held on and in golden score, pulled it out in golden score. So, Ipon, okay.
Oui.
For Stojadinov.
Stojadinov, yeah, they just clicked on the wrong player there.
Right. They're trying to work it out, make sure that they score the right player.
They've taken that off again. The referee has already indicated, well, if it's Wazari, then it's Wazari Awazeti Ipon.
No.
Cancel it altogether.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
Right, okay.
So
Referee in the middle is Ramzi Shamirov of Tajikistan. Gene.
Ferreira feeling like perhaps she just dodged a bullet. So, getting a chance to stay in the contest.
Not sure what was going on there because there was a Rosari on the board for Ferreira and Rosari a piece. Then there was Ipon on there for Stojadinov, and then there was Ipon for Ferreira.
Oh.
You know. And now there is nothing on the board for Ferreira, but Rosario for Stoyanov. Inside the last minute then. Single score is on the board for Andrea Stoyanov. Single Shido as well. She'll do well to hang on from here as Ferreira presses, looking for the tying score.
But Ferreira is turning it up a bit, staying in the match. Oh,
yeah, something's not right with
the scoreboard.
Yeah, they flicked on an ippon again, which must be really disconcerting for your opponent. You know,
right?
Ferreira to see.
The referee hadn't indicated anything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So there was no reason for there to be anything on the board.
20 odd seconds to go. She picks up a second Shido at a dangerous time because there's still plenty of time to make a mistake, you see. That's the concern.
Stoyanov really needs to keep her focus. Coming in with a spinning, I wonder what anyone would call that.
Yeah, chance here.
Coming in for the shimiwaza.
I wouldn't have gone for that's better.
Yeah.
To go around the back. Oh, what's she looking up for? Ferreira.
Just trying to run the clock out, and she did it.
So, Stoyanov has an opportunity to fight for a bronze medal with a win in that repechage contest. We'll see her in the bronze medal contest, and we can stay here on mat number 2 because we've got the second of the semi-finals in the under 48 kilo category. We wanted to see the number 1 seed, and we're about to.
However,
go on.
Hey, if you'd like to go to mat 1, where Koga Genki is up against
beg your pardon. No, that's where we're going. Let's go down to mat number 1 if we can.
Okay.
Because we did pick him out. I didn't, but you did, yeah. So it's mat number 1. You picked out Koga Genki. And this is the quarterfinal. It is the quarterfinal, isn't it?
Right. So should we stay with Yoshida?
Yeah, we should really go back. I'm so sorry, Lance, but Lance Wicks is looking at me like, do you really know what you're doing? I mean, they actually pay you for this? Goodness. So I can see that written all over his face. So it's Laura Martinez Albenda up against Yoshida Sana of Japan. Martinez in the white judogi, Yoshida in blue. And I'm sorry that we've jumped around a little bit, but there we are.
But this is an important match to see. The winner of this match will be facing Daria Biladid in the final. And we've been watching Yoshida throughout the day. She's had a great day so far. Really fighting, we've seen her fight much taller opponents, but this one is interestingly very evenly matched.
And I like the fact that, to take your place in the final, you have to beat the number 1 seed. And your reward for having defeated the number 1 seed is to fight the world champion.
The senior world champion, yes.
And the senior world champion at that.
The youngest senior world champion ever.
What a day.
What a day.
And for Yoshida, the interesting thing, I don't know if anyone will have told her, probably not, is that if she wins here, she will be facing someone who has never lost to a Japanese.
Never lost to a Japanese.
So
and has played plenty of them.
And she's had plenty, including 3 wins against the former world champion.
Yep.
So, but I think we've, run that story quite a lot now, and most people at home, most viewers should know who it is that we're talking about when we talk about Daria Biladid. She's a long way off, Teddy Riner status, but if we do have a female superstar, then it's Daria Biladid.
However, one that's up and coming as well on the senior circuit that has my vote for somebody who's just extraordinary. Oh, beautiful Uchimata by Yoshida is Abe Uta in the 52 kilo.
Absolutely.
at the senior level, who's only 3 months older than Daria Biledid, just on the other side of her birthday. So she became world champion at 18 rather than 17 as well. That would have been something. Have two 17-year-olds be world champions in the same the same tournament.
Biledid was mat side watching that contest, and as soon as that finished, Biledid and Mum Biledid were off, and they're going to go prepare for this afternoon's final. The final, by the way, will be at 4 o'clock. We're going to go back down onto... Oh no, that's already done. Koga Genki has won his contest down on mat number 1, so we've got 2 repechage contests taking place, but we've got a quarter-final taking place down on mat number 1. Let's go down to have a look at that quarter-final on mat number 1.
Guifeng from France versus Konishi Seishiro from Japan.
There you go. They're about to take to the mat. So the thing that we were talking about this morning has come to pass. Yoshida will face Biledid in the final. So a couple of questions that Biledid would have been asked at the start of the day, or that would have been asked of Biledid at the start of the day, would have been, are you going to have as much success with the juniors as you've had with the seniors? Because there are times when a senior comes down to fight in the juniors and finds, there are a few different types of
surprises
opponents there. So up to this point, she has had a reasonably smooth run into the final. So the next question is, because she's going to have to face a Japanese in the final, we come back to that record that she has at the moment of never having lost to a Japanese.
So has she played Yoshida?
No.
So that's something also that is going to be interesting, because going into the final of the seniors, as you mentioned, she had played Fukuoka twice. She had played that particular
Tonaki
Funa.
Yeah.
She had played Tonaki Funa twice
and beaten her.
So Tonaki was going into that match already down 2-0.
Yeah.
Whereas Yoshida has no history with Biledid.
That's right.
So maybe going into this, with a very different perspective.
Very true.
If I were her, I would be thinking, okay, she's never beaten a Japanese player. She hasn't played me before.
I'm going to make it the first. Yeah.
I've never played her before. I could do this. And as we've seen, Yoshida is a very, fierce, technical player, very agile, very versatile, is not intimidated by taller players so far. So it would be very interesting to see what happens in that final.
Almost halfway through this quarter-final between Guifeng and Konishi. No score as yet. Guifeng in the white judogi, Konishi in blue. Almost coming to the last of the preliminaries and repechage semi-finals. Almost wrapping up the first part of the day. We will be back at 4 o'clock, but I imagine that we will be here for another half an hour or so as we wrap up the last few contests, certainly those on mat number 1. On mat number 2, Iman Ibragimov of Russia is up against Dan Meurs of the Netherlands. There's no score in that contest, and there is a semi-final in the under 55 kilo category to follow on mat 2 if you want to watch that. We're going to stick here on mat number 1 because we've got the rest of the quarterfinals and the 2 semi-finals as well.
So I love it when Japan and France play, because I feel of all of the European nations, France has the closest style of judo to classical Japanese play. And so it's always interesting to watch how this plays out. And here also we have the dynamic you were talking about earlier. We have a strong left-hand player in Guifeng and a right-handed player in Konishi. So, there you've got that dynamic where they both have, but Konishi in from a right-handed grip, a left-handed sewanage. Guifeng just sprawling out of it and picking up a Shido for passivity with just under a minute left in the regulations play. And there you see this really marvelous stance by Konishi coming in for that deep, deep Ouchigari on Guifan. Konishi keeping up a very strong, aggressive pace. Maybe even in their movement as they set up, very similar. Guifan got a bit of an advantage in height and reach. Oh, but look at that. Guifan reaching in and Konishi immediately converting that reach into an Ippon Sewanage. A very low Ippon Sewanage. No drive to come up at all on that. There's a semi-final going on mat 2 at the under 55 kilo, if you want to pick that up, between Rosado of Mexico versus Agayev from Azerbaijan. Oh, beautiful. Really, the variety of techniques that Konishi is bringing to bear on this is really interesting. Very versatile. And Guifan has just not had a chance to get anything of his own going, just because every time he reaches, Konishi uses it. So here you have that player who's good at right and left attacks from either grip, particularly from this strong right-hand grip that he's got against Guifan's strong left. So very dangerous player to meet. Guifan has got one Shido, 30 seconds left, and Konishi in for this lapel grip, Sewanage. And a second Shido for passivity on Guifan. Maybe just about it against anybody else, you know, it's not that he's not trying, he's just that Konishi's, big Ouchigari by Konishi. Guifan spins out of it, takes the fall on his front. Konishi working now, some newaza. Guifan's got it really locked up. I think Konishi's going to be able to really finish this up. Although he's working on it. He's being very methodical. He's got it around to the front. He may get this Osaikomi. He does. He got the Osaikomi. Very, very methodical, workmanlike transition. I did not think he was going to be able to do that. And he got it locked up, but Guifan got the leg locked up again. But Konishi's worked it out again to complete his Osaikomi. And Guifan just turns out of it. But Konishi hanging on, getting it again, working the turn again. This has been a great newaza exchange here between defense and attack. Guifan finally holds onto the leg long enough. 152 into golden score. And Guifan is really lucky that that didn't result in some kind of score at all. He must have just held it long enough, just broke it soon enough so that Konishi couldn't get the wazari. Konishi again in for the strong right hand. Lapels Sewanage. If he's able to get his other hand in, he's really going to, and get some penetration. That Sewanage is going to, he's really going to finish it. But even if he doesn't, his attacks have just been so consistent and so concerted that Guifan just is not able to keep up. He's not able to get any of his own attacks going at all. Again, Guifan reaches and Konishi immediately turns in for a Sewanage on the opposite side. And I think that's going to be it for Guifan. Konishi's just had far too many attacks that are unanswered. Guifan just was not able to get anything going on his own, just because, not because he wasn't trying again, but just because Konishi's offensive was just too impenetrable.
So, looks like a third penalty, does it?
Yeah, I think so.
Konishi then will take his place in the semi-final. There is the passivity penalty being dished out.
So up next we have another quarterfinal match between Kumtas of Turkey versus Torres from Brazil. Kumtas will be in white, Torres will be in blue.
The next quarterfinal for junior and under 60 kilos. In blue for Brazil, Renan Torres. In white for Turkey, Samet Kumtas.
Of course, all the other mats are now finished for the afternoon. We'll be picking them up again later on today for the finals in repechage and, of course, the medal rounds. So Torres really working to come in, and Kumtas trying to hold him out, really being on the receiving end of this kumikata, this grip fighting. Oh, nice little kochigari. Small inner cut. Torres is working to catch Kumtas's heel, getting Kumtas to stumble just a little bit. So it shows how Torres really has the edge right now in play. Doesn't look very different, but Kumtas just hasn't been able to get anything going on his own. He's clearly on the something at a disadvantage here, getting things set up. Torres has got the inside grip with his right hand. And then Kumtas in with his own kochi. But as you could see, it just didn't make Torres stumble the way that first attack did. And here we have Torres really setting things up. In on the inside. But of course, even though things seem to be going one way, we've seen matches where all of a sudden the other player just pulls something out, something surprising. Can always happen, so you can never take anything for granted. In a way, judo is always in kind of a sudden death sort of situation. One big technique can end the whole match. And judo throws, I would argue, are one of the most difficult things to accomplish in sport, simply because the defensive abilities and the conditioning and the strength and agility that all these players bring make the complete execution of a throw an incredible challenge to meet. It's a very high bar of something to accomplish. Kumtas, clearly very interested in newaza, really working to get this turn on Torres. Torres, even though he was, Torres has gone completely defensive, whereas on their feet, Torres was the one who was driving the standing exchange. However, if Kumtas doesn't get something going on his feet, he can still be penalized for passivity, no matter how hard he works on the mat. Torres is the one who's been getting them really serious attacks going. Kumtas had a little seonaga there. But there, Torres again with that kochigari, getting Kumtas to come down, but landed pretty much flat on his backside. So there was no score there. Now, Torres has a deep, deep sankaku, triangle lock up on that upper quadrant. You can see how tight that is. There's just no way Kumtas is going to get that off. So if Torres can... Oh, it looks like Torres tapped. There was just so much pressure. Looks like it might have... Okay, so Torres with the ippon. Renan Torres from Brazil over Samet Kumtas from Turkey. Up next, we'll have Boris Dimitrescu from Romania versus Bayurs Narbayev from Kazakhstan in the next repechage under 60 kilos.
Goes to the semifinal for junior men under 60 kilos. Dear friends, the repechage contest for junior men under 60 kilos will start in 5 minutes. Dear friends, 3 minutes to go. Dear friends, in 1 minute we start the repechage contest for junior boys, junior men under 60 kilos.
or Boris Dumitrescu.
And in a couple of matches, we'll have something that is definitely you
Even
want to hang
harder.
on for. Is Papinashvili from Georgia versus Koga Genki from Japan. That will be a big match.
Yes, Jabba Papinashvili, the younger brother of Amiran Papinashvili.
Papinashvili, who I think is the first seed at the under 16.
Is he Jabba?
Or anyway, he was
No, he's not. He's
No,
not
he's
the number
not
one seed.
the
It's
number
the
one seed.
Azeri, isn't it?
right.
Who is seeded number 1.
But Papinashvili was at 55 kilos last
Yeah.
year and took first last year at
Yes.
55.
Kalmat Husseinov, and it was Papinashvili who put Husseinov out of the competition, the number
right.
1 seed.
That's right.
He went tumbling. Koga had the unusual situation of having a first round contest and then a second round bye. Normally it's the other way round, but he had a bye in the second round because in the first round there was no Azeri. He had failed the weight. 2 Azeris were entered, one of whom was the junior European champion, and he lost out. So Koga then had a second round bye. Anyway, we can give you the lineup for this final session. We've got this contest going on at the moment. Boris Dumitrescu and Nabayev will follow this with Yonis Guifon of France and Samet Kumtas of Turkey, and then that will leave us with the 2 semi-finals, won't it? They both on here, yeah. Jabba Papinashvili and Koga Genki, and Konishi Seshiro and Renan Torres, Japanese and a Brazilian.
We may end up with an all-Japan final.
It could very well be.
But that's no small thing to get past Papinashvili. Koga really has his work cut out for him in this next match coming up.
Yeah, I think the thing that will make it really interesting is the fact that Papinashvili has already proven himself capable of going the full day, going into a final and winning it at the Junior Worlds, albeit in the lighter weight. So, he's been here before and done it, and is unlikely to be overawed by the occasion.
No, I agree.
It could be that he'll get absolutely blasted off the tatami by Koga because we're talking about a different quality opponent.
That's true.
But one thing that I don't think is going to swamp him will be the situation. Been there, done it, got the medal hanging in my cupboard already.
So, Boris Dumitrescu picks up the third Shido. Kind of a disappointing match for him, of course.
Yeah, well, we were kind of talking about that earlier on, weren't we? That the third Shido is always unfortunate when it gets to the point where the fighter is unable to be galvanized. Having picked up 2 already, he just gets the third.
Yeah.
Shame. Right, who we got coming up next now? Yonis Guifon of France faces Samet Kumtas of Turkey. It is Guifon in the white judogi, Kumtas in blue. And then we've got 2 contests to follow after this one.
So it'll be interesting to see what Guifon does here. We just watched him play Koga in the last match. Or no, was it? I'm sorry, it was Konishi, I think. And he just was never able to get anything going. But now he's got a very different opponent in Samet Kumtas from Turkey. And one other thought to build on what you were saying about Papinashvili not being overawed by the situation, because he's been here. He was here last year, working into the semifinals, and eventually, of course, winning at 55 kilos, is that in coming up a weight class, he may feel very comfortable in not cutting the way that he would have had to last year. He's clearly grown at this, to the point where he needed to get up into the other weight class. So I'm wondering if he may feel much more comfortable physically, coming up here as well.
It's a good point, Gene, because we don't know for certain what the weights are. I mean, I'm not sure if last year Jabba had to cut a kilo or 5 kilos,
Right.
and was nearly killing himself and still won.
Right.
And whether now at 60 kilos he is 58 or 59, or whether he's 62 and had to come down to 60. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But
But that does make a big difference. If you're-
absolutely, and the likelihood is, I would err on the side that he had been cutting weight to get to 55, and that he's now absolutely comfortable, was in the gym, whacking it on, getting super strong. And even if in this last year, realistically, he put on 5 kilos, which is no small amount of weight when you're only 55.
Yeah, that's right.
When you're 55
It's
kilos...
10% of your weight.
Right. However, he could very well have been 53 or 54 last year. So, no, sorry, he could very well have been 57, 58
Right.
and lost those kilos to come
Right.
down to 55. And then he got into his comfort zone, and 2 kilos is not a lot to put on. And if he was genuinely a 56 or a 57 kilo player, he'd be up at the limit now,
Yeah, he'd be
and maybe
perfect.
having to cut again.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
No, we don't know.
We don't know for certain, but it's interesting to speculate, because the interesting thing in there is your comfort zone. Have you come into the competition comfortable, having breakfast, having dinner, lapping it up and whacking on the weights and getting strong? Or are you in the cutting zone and always
Right.
feeling low
Elevated.
anorexic almost? Right, Jabba Papinashvili. No need to wait any longer. Here he is, Jabba Papinashvili of Georgia faces Koga Genki of Japan. It's Papinashvili in the white judogi, Koga in blue.
And Papinashvili coming in immediately with a couple of nice Uchimatas, but Koga coming in with a very strong Okuriashi Harai, this big side sweeping movement. And between the two kinds of attacks, Koga definitely had the better of that exchange. He really had Papinashvili hopping. And even there, just in a little bit of exchange, Papinashvili's balance is really threatened by Koga's movement. So, but Papinashvili could definitely throw. We know that he can throw, and he's a very strong, capable player. So,
And all this is happening in the semi-final rather than the final. So we get a look at this, and it could be. I mean, even if Papinashvili was to win this, he would then end up having to, go to round 2, if you like, because it will either be Konishi or Torres in the final.
and it was interesting to see Konishi play against Guifon, because we hadn't really been watching him, and I was very impressed with what Konishi was doing and his movement. I actually think that it's sharper than Koga's and what we've seen today, just in that one match against Guifon. So if it comes down to Konishi versus Koga, that'll be a really interesting thing to see. So here we have Koga doing getting a turn. This is kind of unusual. Georgians are usually typically very, very strong in newaza, but in their ground technique. But Koga was definitely in command there. Papinashvili held it out, kept it from being anything significant, but still, Koga's definitely on the offensive. He's got Papinashvili responding to him. Oh, nice entry, and then that was a beautiful feint into an Ashiwaza, and then into a Shimewaza, and Papinashvili's tapping. So, Koga Genki with the Ippon over Jabba Papinashvili from Georgia in a very, very strong showing in this semifinal match at the 2018 Junior World Championships for the under 60 kilogram match. Here we go. See, into this beautiful turn. And then the referee's coming around on the other side to see the choke, but she can't see Papinashvili tapping with the offhand. Oh, that's such a beautiful entry. Koga coming in with this very, very straight posture, looking like it's going to be Sewanage or maybe Unuchimata, and then coming down low for that Ashiwaza for the initial throw, and then immediately transitioning. So that's the kind of sharp action, the sharp kind of activity that I was saying that I saw in Konishi. So now we see that Koga is able to do that as well. So first semifinal, Koga in the upper bracket.
So all of that talk about Jabba and the weight and what he'd done and everything, bin that.
That's right.
Because he wasn't able to get past Koga. Your man, your pick. Well done. Hey, you're 100% Gene today.
How about that? Well, Daria Bilidid wasn't a hard pick.
Come on.
Okay, and here we have Konishi Seishiro versus Renan Torres from Brazil. And I'm going to pick Konishi in this one too, even though Torres had a very strong match. No, well, we haven't seen so much of them. Oh, but Torres. I'm sorry, that was Konishi. That was Konishi.
Yeah. Nice attack.
Yeah, nice little Seoinage. Really getting Torres to hop. Torres with a very unconventional spinning kind of attack, but that just wasn't going to go anywhere. Looks like some tape needs to come off Torres' wrist, I think. So here we have a really great example of how Konishi is really using the mat very well. He's circling, but then he keeps pressure on in the middle. So here we have Torres really working to the side a little bit, but see how Konishi circles around to the inside. So he is really taking control of the center of the match and keeping pressure on in the middle of the mat, competition area. So it's just, Torres! A nice Sore Tsurikomi Goshi. And really, really getting some elevation on Konishi, but Konishi really sprawling out, keeping any kind of rotation from completion, so there was no score. So Torres is in this match. Konishi, I think, is not being quite as aggressive as he was against Guifon. So that's interesting. It's a semifinal match, and Konishi's being a bit conservative in his play here. Oh, but in for his own very unconventional throw. Torres just spinning out. I'm amazed that wasn't a Wazari. And as we saw before, Konishi really enjoys his newaza. He's very, very comfortable there. He's got the upper quadrant locked, and he's working to get that leg free. And he's got the osai. Nope. Yes, he's got the osai komi.
Yeah, because just the right foot, only the right foot of Torres had held on to the right leg of Konishi. He hadn't wrapped it with both legs.
Right. So and there we have a Wazari score. Just a few more seconds.
Done.
And it will be Konishi with the ippon. So it will be an all-Japan final for the under 60 kilogram weight class. And so we'll see if the pick will prevail in the final. Koga versus Konishi.
I think it will make for an exciting final because both players are very attacking.
Very dynamic.
Did he just limp there? I thought he looked as though he just limped a little bit.
Konishi?
Yeah. And he's slow to come off the mat as well. Okay, he's walking reasonably well. So this morning when we had a look at the weight categories, we were talking about two picks, a male and a female, and Gene had the pleasure of saying where he thought those picks were going to go, and he picked out Daria Bilidid and Koga Genki, and both of those have made it to the final. So you can't keep a good man down. Well done, Gene.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But again, really, it's not much of a struggle to pick Daria Bilidid out of that field, even though we've got a really interesting challenge.
Yoshida-sana.
Yoshida is going to give her, I think, is going to give her a great match.
We were having a really big debate, and at first I was on one side of the debate about whether or not we should have seeded Daria Bilidid, given that she's the current world champion coming into these world championships here. And some of you may wonder why it is that we've got the senior world champion fighting at the junior world championships anyway. Well, what we like to do is to attract our best juniors to the junior world championships, to our junior events, and in this case one of our best seniors happens to be junior in age.
Right.
So what we decided to do, what the International Judo Federation decided to do, was to attach qualification points for the 2020 Olympic Games to the Junior World Championships. So this acts as one of the events where fighters who want to qualify for the Olympic Games can come and score points. So Mila did his hair with the aim of collecting 700 points. What she can't do, however, is to carry her senior ranking into a junior event in exactly the same way that if she went to fight in the under 52 kilo category in seniors, she wouldn't be able to carry her 48 kilo category senior ranking into the next weight category. When Lucas Kapalik moved up from under 100 to plus 100, lost all his points, lost his ranking. When Basile moved up, Olympic champion, from 66 to 73, same thing. And although I was saying we should have some protection in order that we would create a situation where we had a Yoshida Biladid final, she's already been given protection in the under 48 kilo category as a senior. You can't now transfer that down to another category, albeit age rather than weight. So I'm okay with that. You move categories, you come into a different division, you go with what you find.
However, she, as I was talking about earlier, though, is she is able to wear her red back, name patch.
Can't take that away from her.
And that has got to have a bit of a psychological advantage on the mat. When you see that your opponent has a red name on their back, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, tricky one. We're going to be back in an hour and 15 minutes with all the medal matches on day one of competition here at the Nassau World Judo Championships for Juniors 2018. But from Gene Shin and myself, it's bye-bye for now.
See you later.